to make a great wreath that's going to be grand and dramatic, but very easy to make, and it only requires 4 supplies, and one of those is the wreath, okay? We're making this big and bold, so we're using an 18-inch wreath. And what you're going to need is 4 long sprays. So these are long, I'm not 4, 3, sorry. 3 long dynamic sprays, okay? And these will be the bulk of our design. The cool thing is these are already made like this. This is one of these things that makes this go so easy for you. And we're playing in the bluey, purple, lavender color combinations here. Now, the other supply we're going to use, this will be our greenery, and we're using a lavender. So it's beautiful because it's going to have purple at the tips, but green at the bottoms. 2 bushes of that. And then, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm using twigs, and I'm loving the butterfly twigs, because this is definitely a spring color combination. We're going to use 2 of these. So 3 of the hydrangea sprays, 2 of the beautiful lavender stems, and then 2 of these. So a total of 3 different floral type pieces in there with multiples of each. So we're going to start off by shaking hands with each one of these bushes. We have these gorgeous hydrangeas in green and purple, and we're going to get these placed in first. And basically we're going to do these like a triangle. We have 3. Cut these down to where they have about a 4-inch stem, because they are long. We need to put them in the grapevine. I'm going to try to use glue, but when they're a longer stem like this, we may have to use wire or cable tie to tie it in. All right, so I've cut that down to about 4 inches. I'm going to come in, and we're going to start here and just go a little past 6 o'clock. I'm going to push that in. I'm not gluing it yet because we're going to get our spacing right. Okay, there's number 1 in. So if that's there, we're going to need another one like right in here. And this is going to be an all the way around design. And we'll put this one in right here. Okay, so let's just take a look at it. These 2 I like. This one I need to work on a little bit. It needs to come down just a little bit. Now grab them, hold the tip up, go into your glue, twirl it and swirl it. And we're going to go ahead and start to put these in. All right, let's do it. And if you don't think the glue is strong enough to work, it's going in good for me, then you can always take and cable tie them in, or wire them. I'm coming in with my Spanish moss to cover up the glue because I used a lot of it. And then we're shaping this dude out. Pretty! All right, next one's going right here. I like that. We can maybe go just a little bit lower. And you can play with it, guys, first without glue, remember. All right, let's come in right here. Push that in nice. Oh, good. And this is wired, so I can have it kind of come around a little to create that flow. We're going around. These kind of wreaths are great to make because they come together quickly, but they're very dynamic and beautiful. And this one I want it to end up right about there, okay? So this one's a little lower, that's higher, and I get a nice triangle going, okay? So I'm gonna think about where I want that big hydrangea to end up at. All right. Come on in here, you pretty girl. Get in there. And I want to make sure I'm not pushing through the back. And I did go through the back a little, so I'm going to come back and angle it. There we go. Much better. You can feel if it kind of lets loose really quick when you're pushing with all that glue, then you know, uh-oh, that did not go right. That went through the back. And those are big dynamic stems, so we need them in there really good. I'm covering the mechanics of the glue with the Spanish moss. All right. Everybody's looking good. Super great placement. We are good to go. Now that that's done, we're going to come in with this greenery and go between all of that. We're going to start with 9 pieces of this bush. I'll cut it all, but we're going to cut it long because we're going to need some short too. All right, now we're going to put 3 in each section. So I'm going to come in with some glue, dip it, and each open section is going to get 3. So I'm going to start with 1 out here, And I want to push these in where they're kind of about the same perimeter as the greenery. We're going to start to make our shape. Now, if you can see the glue, you need to be coming back with moss. I'm putting a good amount of glue on there. 2. It's real important in this part because this is just going to be greenery in these sections, so you've got to cover this glue. 1, 2, 3 long pieces in there. Go into the vine, go into it. We're not going through the back, into it. So the same process in each section. So there's the first 3, and you can see we're starting to shape out the outside. We're going to do the outside down here. Let's do this. There's 1, 2. And I kind of weaved that one a little bit so I get it didn't pop through the back. And then number 3. So if you're not careful, you'll have a whole bunch of these small wires coming out the back. So take your time. There you go. Beautiful. So you can see we're starting to shape out our shape. And you should start to see when you step back, you should see a good shape coming. Yeah, it's looking good. We're working that perimeter right now. So we're going to come into the 3rd section right here. Do the same thing. And I'm not going right out to the edge. I'm kind of going in about 1 inch in on the wreath. If you want it larger, you can go out to the edge. It just will take more supplies, so I'm going to tuck it in a little bit. You have to be careful if you go way out. That's how I ended up inadvertently creating a much bigger design, is I went way out on some piece I made. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's pretty too. So you might discover another beautiful way to do it. Okay. And 1 more right in there. So we laid out a gorgeous perimeter shape. And we created a nice structure. So what I want you to do is step back from it and take a look at it and make sure it has a good feel all the way around. That looks good. So I'm going to grab one of my other lavenders. This is a 2nd lavender bush, and I started to prep it already. But the first thing I'm going to do is push these up short. All right. So they are a little bit more clustered together. And then I just need about a 2 to 3 inch stem on these. Okay. It doesn't have to be real long. So I'm going to trim that whole bush that way, which I've already done. And then that gives me the whole bush of nice short clusters like this that are shorter. Okay. And we're going to start to put those in our design. Here's the pattern that I think works best. We're going to do 2. So the first one will come on the left here, and we're going to kind of go back, and I want it to kind of lay between these 2, okay, just like that. Try not to get glue everywhere like I just did a terrible glue string. I forgot to swirl it. Didn't do my twirl and swirl. And then come and cover the mechanics. There's 1. Now I'm going to do 1 over here. Separate it out to the right. 1 to the left, 1 to the right, kind of falling between those 2 right there. Oh, don't go to the back, go into the grapevine. Right here is a little tricky. So if you feel like that, like it's just going to nowhere, what I want you to do is get more glue on there. Get some moss ready. Tuck it in, and then we're going to use moss to kind of hold it. So I'm going to put moss in this crack to hold that whole dude in place. Now our 3rd piece that we're going to use is going to come to the center. And you want it to be, nice and chunky. It's going to come right here to the middle. Okay, trim that one short. And let's go in here. Beautiful. All right, I love it. Let's come down here now. Same process. We're going to lay the first one where it comes between these 2 and just go under that fern leaf. Okay, it needs to go back a little here. Right there. And then we'll put 1 more right here. Okay. Those are still working to the outside. And then the final piece works to the inside. make it just a little bit shorter than we did. Maybe not quite that short. And I am working to the center. Pretty. Okay, so I'm filling in that area really nice. Bend on it. All right, same thing going on right here. We're going to take 2 pieces, work into the outside in between our holes. So I'm working a little bit more. You know, when I'm putting these in, I've got to back in closer to the base. So I'm gluing and then I'm mossing. We're going to do one more. Okay, and let's put a little bit more moss on there. And now my final piece will go to the center. All right, so we've done really good with getting our placement nice and clean, really. So we filled in those open gaps, which is looking good. I can see on camera how good it's looking. We filled in these open gaps in between here. We're going to grab that lavender and we're going to have a touch behind and in front of each cluster. You should have 6 pieces left. Some are short, some are long, which is going to work great. We're going to start off by working with a long piece, 1 behind each cluster. And I would just do it where it kind of makes sense, like right by this fern. We don't want it to look like we missed a gap, but we want to look like one of these kind of was able to grow behind there. All right. Doesn't need to be too long. It's going to just come out from behind here where you have the fern. And we're going to push that one in. Perfect. So let's find the fern on that one and do the same thing. I'm using the longer pieces we had left from the first bush. Right here. And we'll push her in. She's going to come out behind there. And then we'll have one here behind this fern. So it's still saying the same size as the perimeter you already created. But adding that nice touch of purple. Love that. Okay, so we did a good job on the perimeter. We kind of supported behind each of these with a touch of lavender. Going to do the same thing on the inside, coming inside right next to each of the big blooms. There's a little greenery here. I think it would look kind of good if it went on top of that little piece of greenery. So a little bit, I'm thinking we go a little bit behind each of the purple hydrangeas. So behind each with us. So you just decide what you want to do. I'm not going to push these really short, but it just gives you a little more touch of the purple in this zone where there wasn't previously. So I'm going to go behind each hydrangea. So right here, I'm going to tuck it behind and it's going to lay on top of the greenery, which is going to kind of cohesively tie that in, which I love. So come under here, try to. Got a whole bunch of glue here. Okay, and I'm going to cover that with moss because that could get moved up and I don't want anybody to see that. All right, and then one more right behind this one, so it would come into here. This one's a little crazy, so I'm going to shorten it. But I love how this is turning out, guys. This is beautiful. And then we have that touch of lavender kind of coming to the center, a little more full everywhere. Go ahead and take and break them down to a couple sections. So separate the bottom stem off here, okay, and bring those down, and we'll cut that right below this big knot. This looks like it's hard to cut, but it's not. Just nib it down. And the butterflies I want to go in the green sections, so they will lay up in the green section. So I'm just going to start by laying this in here. We're not going to try to mount it or anything, because we're only using 2 butterfly stems, so I want to make sure I can get good placement. This is a smaller one, so it's the half of that one left. So I'm going to just kind of wiggle it in over here. And I just didn't think we needed 3 stems of butterflies because I didn't want the butterflies to be that dominant. So I wanted to figure out how to make it work with 2. So here is the other one. I'm going to do the same thing with it where I trim it at that really chunky spot, and then we'll keep, let's see, how many we keep with her? 3, 1, 2, 3. So we'll keep this for our second one, okay? Same cut. And I have already shook hands with this, and I kind of curled some of them and had some fun. You do the same thing. Now, got to stay with the flow, so that comes up and under, and then we'll be kind of going back here. That looks really good, guys. This is like the little touch that's going to take it to the next level. So these butterflies are going out, so this second stem would kind of work a little more tight in right here. And I think it would work fine. All right, so we kind of have our placement started. Let's go ahead and start to glue these in. Put that in there. And we're going to tuck that back in. Yep. And once again, you can also, like, if you feel like that is too tight in there, you can take and tie it. You don't have to glue it. All right. Number 2 going in. Right here is the longer one. But here I have a lot of Spanish moss, and I already put the other greenery, so that'll help me kind of get it started in there. Yep, good job. It feels so good when it goes in there strong, right? Oh, beautiful. So those 2 are in. Let's go to the top. And these are, I'm going to squeeze on a little. These ought to be a little easier because we just have 1 to go in there. So you're going to keep with the direction and keep that flow going around. And then just tuck these in right there with the other beautiful flowers. Okay, gorgeous. And then finally this one over here. Kind of get you started going between the pieces of the grapevine, and then it'll slide in after. I wish we could put these in first. It'd be easier, but you're not going to want to work around them. They have to lay on top of the greenery, so they got to go in last. We got it. Okay, make sure these guys are coming up, and they're coming up to meet the guests at the door. We want to pull them forward, and they need to stay in the greenery sections. They can come out a little, but pretty much they're about to hit those hydrangeas and flowers, but they're not quite there yet. All right, guys, let me show you the depth on it. It's beautiful. Look how pretty. This is going to look really beautiful in person. And you could play around with it if you wanted to put like a big, like a nest in here. You could put a bow in this section if you wanted to do a bow. There's all kind of options, but I think it turned out stunning. And it's just takes a little bit of time to put it together, but it's actually a very easy recipe.
We're getting ready to work with our foam base. Now this is actually foam underneath like an artificial moss, which makes it so easy to work with, and you got a great clean looking starting point. And we are making our sunshine lemon wreath kit, and we've already made the bow, and you can see the other supplies that come in the kit. You get 3 full rows of ribbon, which is great because we are going to need these to make not only one bow, but we're going to make a nice, really pretty hanger for this wreath, and you'll have extra ribbon for other projects. Now, you get the wreath base, you get this gorgeous berry bush, and the neat thing about this is it's got this great greenery and twigs, so that'll be our solution for our greenery and filler flowers. And if you're in design school, you've learned how important all those fillers really are. Then in your kit is going to be a couple of lemon stems here. These are perfect with their lemon leaves that are kind of smaller scale. That's going to work great on our base. And then finally, because we've got a lot of moss look going on with our wreath, we want to use this right here. And these are twigs that we'll be using that have that moss covering on them that goes great with this. So this wreath literally screams summer, and I think you're going to enjoy making it with us. And the neat thing about this is we've been building up step by step. As you can see, we've added our adorable hanger on here, y'all. If you need the video for this, just let us know. We'll give it to you in the comments as well. But we made the hanger. And then we also made the bow. We made a great funky bow. We layered up. And now we're going to get ready to use the rest of the supplies in the kit to make this wreath. Now, this is a foam wreath base. And the advantage of that is I'm going to be able to build this right on the wreath base. The only thing you will need to make this kit on your own is you'll need floral pins, a glue gun, wire cutters, cable ties, and some 18 gauge wire. And then you'll be set to go. But you do have to use floral pins to put this design together because we're going to work right into the base. Now, our greenery and filler we're going to use is this berry bush, and it works excellent for this project. Now, ideally, we don't want to cut this into small pieces because then it will mean lots of places we have to attach to the wreath. So in order to make this easier construction, what I want you to do is use a method we teach in design school called clustering, and we're going to do it here today. So I'm going to build up my cluster with using the base that the greenery and the picks, the lemon picks come on, and it will help me have a faster construction and more stable. So the first thing I want to do is I want to lay out my background. So on this particular bush, you see these big leaves? We move that to the back because we want them to work as our background greenery. We want this pretty ivy, that we want to be in the front because that's like so pretty. And then this lacy leafy fern, yeah, we want it up front too. So you start just kind of placing it out here and you shape it up, all right? Just kind of get a good start. Now, when we put this on our wreath and we make our cluster, I know that it's going to go down at the bottom here. Let me move our twigs. So down here at the bottom. Now, and I'll be able to attach it like that. But I know I need some more coming down, right? I've got this coming down. I'm going to try to get this berry coming down. And our bow will be in the middle, which we've already made our bow. So you can kind of look and you say, okay, we need more length. So in order to create a little space in here, what I want you to do is kind of cut this bush in half. All right, we're going to use a little tricky trick. So I'm going to use this up here high, right? And this will fill in around the bow. But then I'll be able to bring this piece back, keep that stem on, and extend this down. Now I'm just going to build it on the table for a little bit. But you see how I just took my bush and I kind of made a little mini swag with it? Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're making our own little mini swag. So you are going to need several cable ties, guys, to do this. So just get you a package of those because they're going to be part of how we're putting this together. Now, most of the cable ties are going to be hidden here in the background of our design. So you're not going to really notice them. But just in case you want to think about what leaves we could use to hide any mechanics or Spanish moss, if you have some Spanish moss in your stash. Okay, now lay your bow in there now. See how we extended out better? That's all we were trying to accomplish there. Now, let me grab a couple more cable ties. There's some shorter green ones. I'm going to grab a couple of those. Let's build up from here. So here is my lemon pick. One of them, I have two of these. Remember, we're going to use our bow in the middle, so we've got to make sure that these are laying out really nicely outside of what we would call the bow zone in design school. So that's what we're doing here. We're laying this out further. So there's one, and this is such a really nice wired stem. I mean, sometimes I think, oh, this is so good quality. I love this. Every little piece is wired. So this is just great to lay in right there. And you can see I am not cutting any of these stems. We are just building up this little swag right here behind. Okay, so I'm going to start with that. Scoot this lemon over a little bit. Now let me add the bow in the middle. Hey, that's fine. Good spacing. So you're just checking for that by keep bringing your bow back. So if you haven't made your bow yet and you're watching this part of the video, you kind of have to have an idea of what size it is. Now, you're going to watch me just weave in some of the berries between the lemons. and give it a cohesive look so it doesn't look like this is laid on top, but it's kind of built in. And we like to call that breaking the plane. I like for different florals to break the plane of other florals. If you're like me and you yank off that berry, just glue it back on. That was a little aggressive. That can happen. All right, my lemon, let's bring this forward. I'm going to bring this fern a little bit over here. Just like to twist those around a little and just bring them into the design. If we can. That one might be a little too, it's going to have to go behind. I love that ivy because it's all curly. Okay, once I'm happy with that, and I think I've got good spacing, right? We come in with those cable ties we just grabbed, and we continue to make our little cluster here. So we're making a mini swag. One more cat down here. Y'all, we've been doing a whole class on lemon and sunshine pieces in design school this last week. And you know what? Together, the collection is amazing. So if you're in class and you haven't had time to go log into the portal, make sure you get in there because it is so cute. This would go great with our collection we just made. Okay, look how nice and strong that is. Now what I want you to do is, remember I told you we got to identify some leaves we could take off. I'm going to steal a couple of these lemon leaves that are kind of flipping around. We're going to pull those off because I don't like them going backwards anyway. Because I'm a crazy leaf pet peeve. I like them forward. Now I'm taking these and gluing them on top of the cable ties that might show down here, just right on that base. Okay, so I kind of hid some mechanics. Don't you love it? All right, I've got one extra leaf. This is going to be hidden by the bow, so I don't really have to worry about it. Now, we've got our swag made. Bring your wreath back over, and you're going to start to see this cutie come together really fast. Now, when you put this on, we have to kind of center it where there's half weight on the left, half weight on the right, so it doesn't sag too much. So you bring it down so this bow can be balanced on here so it doesn't sag. And you might have to play with that a little, but once you do, you'll know exactly, okay, it's right at the center. It's coming down the middle of that hanger. I love that. So it looks like this right here, okay? It's coming right down the middle. We know our bow is going to be coming into there, and we want all of that lining up. Lines are so important in your design. So I'm going to angle that up just a little bit more, and you double check what you want. Now, I want you to grab your twig stem and bring it back over. We're going to kind of use it in the background of our cluster we just made, okay? So pull it off for a second. Slide this dude back over. Now, your twig, you can go ahead and trim off this stem. We don't need it that long, so just trim it off right here. And you can hold on to that wire to use in a different project. And what I want you to do is go ahead and play with the direction of some of these twigs, because we got to change direction when we hit our bow. All right? Design school students know what I'm talking about and how important that is. You can see immediately when I lay that in there, now I've got these fun wispy twigs that add a whole nother level to your design, and I highly encourage you doing that. Get the twigs out. Now let's put in there, one cable tie at the center should be good for this. Then we're going to be ready to kind of attach it to our wreath once we get the bow in. So we've made our swag, now we're bringing our bow in. And we're going to put it right in the middle. Isn't this fun? I mean, it feels like I can't do that, Kali. I cannot make these things you do. But then I hope when I break it down step by step, you really feel like, wait a minute, I can do that. Because I know you can. Y'all, designing and creating with artificial flowers just brings me so much joy, and being able to teach you. I hope that you can find creativity in your heart and you can make something beautiful for yourself because you deserve it. You deserve some love. And it's okay to have a pretty home and a pretty space to work in. It's okay to have a pretty craft room. All of those things are so important. I'm going to just curl these up a little bit to kind of start playing with them. We'll do more in a minute, but now that our mini swag is made, the fun part is we're going to add it to the wreath. All right? And it's going to kind of, remember, going to cascade down and over like this. So it's sitting at this angle. So what I want you to do now is get your basket of floral pins back because this is how we're going to attach it to our base. Now grab your glue skillet. Here's my glue skillet right here. I'm going to put a little hot glue. You do have to glue them as you go into the foam. And then I want you to get in here to the base and just go over the stems and put it in at an angle so you don't pop through the back. So there goes my first pin. And I would like you to get at least 3 in down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to come from this side. And you can kind of go through the center. You can go beside a cable tie, however you want to hold it. That one I grabbed it. Cable tie. All right, now let me turn it to the side. And we can come up here too. Remember, I can grab some pieces up here. When you work with a foam wreath base, the main thing you don't want to do is get a lot of pins in one area. You want to try to spread them out if you can, so you don't create any weaknesses in the foam. Now, where's our leaf? We saved a leaf earlier. I've lost it. I thought, oh, here it is. Now, anywhere you put a floral pin you need to hide, no big deal. You just grab that leaf, you throw some glue on the back, and then I just, boom, glue it right there. It looks like it belongs there, and that hides in the background. So work your way all the way around. I think I want one more on this side. But this turned out amazing, guys. I love it. I love it. And I think you can make it too. And I can't wait for you to share with us what you've been making. Put it here in the comments, what you're working on. You can always send us an email. Shoot it to us in the text list. We can't wait to see what you've been creating and help you along on your floral journey, because y'all, it is so much fun to have fun with flowers. And I appreciate each and every one of you being here, because making things like this is what I truly just love to do. Isn't it beautiful? That wreath kit comes with the wreath base itself, and it comes with one of the big monarch butterflies here. Then our ribbons have our great monarch butterfly and a couple of blacks. We've got a polka dot and a stripe. The kit, you'll get full rolls of those. We are just having a little bit of a big sunflower. Then we've got this bush right here with the yellow little wildflowers. That's perfect. These twigs are excellent, and they're going to give us lots of dimension. Got a couple of stems of those in the kit. And this is our greenery. It is like a nice green, and it's really loose, and it's got that leafy texture. And then we've got a small bush here that has some more butterflies on it too. This is an oval wreath base, so we want this guy to sit right in here. This comes with a built-in hanger right here on the back. It's one of those little triangle hangers, and that'll work good. We'll get that started. And I know we're going to go ahead and cable tie it into that side to the frame. I'm going to cut off the gold hanger on here. That's just a ribbon that they have attached, or that little cording. And we're going to tie this in. I like to get this just sitting in there really cozy. So that means I'm going to tie it into this part of the frame here. So even before I do that, let me set it down, and let's get this guy right about here. I'm just setting it there for a second. I want to see if I can get this through the frame here and back around. There is metal around the back, and this is very stable. I'm not worried about it, but I want to try to bring both of these through right now, okay? So I'm just like if you're sewing, go in one side, bring it up the other. Okay, so both ends are coming out. Let me turn my glue pot down, man. It is cooking up here. I'm cooking this glue. All right, okay. Woo, it was getting hot. All right, I'm gonna bring it in right here.
Okay, excellent. And now I'm going to come around and I'm going to go ahead and get this tight. I know that's where I want it to go. So we'll just keep bringing this through because you need it. It's got to be tight, okay? It's got to be tight on there. And I'm going to try to get that under the body in the background. Okay, happy with that. Yes, it's wiggling around. We are going to get that squared away, don't worry. As we are going to have this there, that's fine. I'm happy, she's stable. Now I'm going to cut a piece of foam that's going to have florals on it that's going to sit right down here. And then I'll be staking that in, and that'll lock this kind of into place right here. So I've got that kind of idea going. Now I have to take my foam and cut it into some small pieces. I just want it sitting here just enough to hold this down. So I'm happy with that. Let's just take and drop that in our glue pot. Hold that where you want it. I'm getting some glue on here and scraping it off. I don't need a ton. So when I say some, see the little layer on there? Got a decent layer. Now I'm going to put this just overlapping slightly. Okay, perfect. Now your next step is to grab your floral pins and get this in place. Okay, so I'm going from here into the, I'm using like another way to support this into the, from the back of the wreath too. I'm going to put a couple here. And the only thing is you want to do this while that glue's hot, okay? So I'm going to get 3 in here. No problem. I'm going to bring her around. And then I'm going to come in through the back right now. So I'm just pushing that where that foam is flat against my wreath stand. I can come from behind and go right over the metal frame into the foam too. Boom. And one more each way. Okay. So that's going to help keep my butterfly right where I want it. And then my next move is to put my foam up here. And we're going to do that same procedure. Just get it, put the moss on it. I'm not the moss, the hot glue on it. Scrape it off. Go up here. Wiggle, wiggle. And now we're going to go in from the sides and then one from the front. Okay. At least, on something like this, you're going to put at least 5 pins. We just want to be safe and have lots of things holding. Now, because this is concave on the back, there's no worries that it, if a pin goes through, it's not going to be a big deal, but most of these pins are just going into the foam anyway. Okay. And now I'm going to take a couple from to the back. Same way we did before. I'm just going to lay this flat against here. We're just going to kind of angle them in. If they come through the front, it's no big deal, because you're going to have that all covered with florals. Just don't hurt yourself. Okay, lots of pins in there, and it looks fine on the background. Look, you can't even tell. It's perfect. Looks neat and clean. So if they end up having a glass door, we are good. So let's take our first twig bush, and it tears apart very easily into some nice sections here. As normal, I will generally not cut this one right away because that's a piece that has an extended stem on these. These are already locked into their sizing, so I can't really make these longer without more work, adding picks and things like that. And I generally teach that we're going to try to plan ahead and be able to produce our product a little faster and not make all those extra cuts. So this looks fine. Pull off any extra paper, and we're going to start to set our perimeter. Let me turn my glue pot down. There we go. And this one's going to go out here over to the right. Okay, and you can see the shape coming up. Oh yeah, fantastic. So that one's going out that way, and the transition is going to happen right at the bow where we'll go different directions and shift direction. So that's the first one. Here comes number 2. Make sure you do what we call shake hands in class. We always say shake hands. You can take and curl these up prettier if you want, or you can leave them wide, whatever you prefer. I'm going to curl them a little and kind of shape them. Now I'm going to work opposite, and this one's going to come down. transitioning the other way. Okay, so it's just kind of nicely setting that perimeter. I love it. Oh yeah, great shape. And just think of this as you're setting your perimeter like we do in all of our designs. It's kind of our first step. Okay, I'm gonna bring that in. I'm gonna bring that down, and I don't know if you can see that. I think I'm gonna have to move the camera down just a little bit. There you go. Look how cool that looks. Yes. Oh, already. Man, you see that green go with this green we're popping? I'm loving it. Now, I do want a little bit kind of coming in around the ribbon once it's in. So we'll be cutting this one down. So I'm just gonna put that aside, or keep one of these aside is fine, whichever one you want. So I need one of those for there. I'm gonna also put one more aside to go around the ribbon up here too. So I've got two pieces aside. And so I'll use this last piece to kind of frame up this area that goes in between these two. So in this, we'll have a little bit going to the right and a little bit going to the left, kind of to the middle. So I won't curl these quite as much as I want them to take up a little more space. I'll just curl the tips. And you can see how that can bridge that gap. So that means I have to cut this short. I'm going to do that. Because then I can control the size a little bit. I'm going to put this piece in first. I don't want it so long, okay? Because then it makes it chunky here. We want it to be kind of streamlined from here to here. And then this piece we'll put in right here. So I'll cut this down a little bit more, or I'll tear these off. I'm just going to tear them off and trim off their wires. And they have their own little piece we can put in. Okay, so we just set our perimeter all the way around. This one's going to go a little one to the right. That one went a little to the left. So you have two nice greenery bushes like this, and we're going to break these apart as well. So I'm just going to take and bend them, and I'll just tear this down. And this is our opportunity for that longer stem, so I'm going to put that aside. And then these right here, we're just going to pull off the extra paper. Throw that in the garbage, straighten these up. And then I'm just going to neatly trim these stems so they're about the same length. And we'll start to put these in. These have great wires. You just have to take the time to utilize them, right? And enjoy how wispy and pretty they are. They're very fern-like. So I'm going to take and load this in the glue pot. We're going to just work out to the perimeter, and we're just going in between our twigs on either side. Up here on the top section first. And don't forget, we're leaving that area open for the bow zone. I'm going to come here on the right side of the greenery. Excellent. And we can layer it a little under, a little over. Now I put one here. Now I'm going to go in between these two. So this one we might have to cut. We want to stay with our nice streamlined shape. So I'm cutting that one down. We're going to go right between those. So right, kind of out the center. This one won't. We'll go a little right and a little left. You can shape it. Get in there, buddy. Oh, that's just pretty together. Now let's go in here between these two. So we're just cutting in between each piece. And we're going to use a full bush up here at the top. And we're still setting the perimeter. Okay, we did it with the twigs. Now we're doing it with the greenery. And then this piece can kind of come from the bottom and kind of come into the middle. I love that. I trimmed it down. I just took about a ½ inch off. Now I'm going to put this into here, and this can kind of work through here. Okay. All right. So I used a whole bush up here. Down here, we're just going to use a couple of pieces, and we'll save all of this to work in around the bow, because a lot of this design is we want to have working around the bow. So let's put maybe 2 pieces down here. So I will save 4 for later, okay? 2 pieces here. Cut these shorter immediately because we want them to be just kind of tucking in around the greenery we already have in. So this piece is going in here and kind of flaring out. Let's put one lower. I'm going to use 3 pieces down here. This one I'm going to do a little bit longer. Right here on the right. Still going with the same structure. Let's put one on the left. So I have 2 here. Just one, I kind of tucked it coming up just a little bit, and these are working their way down. Now somehow I got glue on the handle of the wire cutters and then grabbed it. It wasn't that hot, but I was like, where did that come from? So now we're going to take our sunflowers, and you are going to get rid of all the leaves. In this design, we really need to focus on the small elements that are part of that wildflower look. These leaves are nice though, so save them for something else. We're going to trim off all those little attachments so it doesn't look like anything's missing. All clean. And then you're going to take these, and we can trim these off the main stem, and we're going to use them individually, okay? So we're going to do that for both of our sunflowers. Cut this one off, and I'm going to cut these two off. All snipped up pretty. So what I want you to do is we're going to use 2 of these up here and 2 down here. That'll leave me 2 for here too. So I'll have 2 sunflowers for each section. Idea is we're going to be putting the bow in right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bow in so we can know exactly how far back these are going to go. Now on the bow, we ended up, I turned the glue pot up instead of lower. Oh Lord. Oh Lord! That's funny. I was trying to turn it down a little. I went the wrong way. We're going to take, and I want to make sure it's very loopy, of course, just like we planned. I want to bring those forward. I put a cable tie in the bag, but we really needed a floral pin because it's just going to go right into this foam. And I'm going to take, and I can either make one out of wire. In this case, I'm going into a thinner piece of foam we used up here, so it's no problem for me to use a floral pin that we buy at the store. So I'm just going to take and push that through. And kind of, I'm using the other, I left this cable tie in for a minute till I got it through, and then pull that out, okay? Make sure you're getting under the cable tie and not just the ribbon, just for extra security, okay? Now, I know that this is going to go up and down like this is what I liked, okay, where the bow is kind of like that. So I'm going to take this, hold it that way I like, all cupped up, get some glue on that pin, okay, and then I'll push it on there. Let's go. All right, put it in. Right in there. Okay. Now I want those bows to kind of, want the ribbons, of course they're going to lay out some, but I want them to go in kind of the center. We're going to let that set up before we fluff it too much. I'm going to leave it like that right now. So now that that's in, I know my sunflowers can kind of go in there somewhat a little tight to that. Now, if the sunflower sits like this, that does us no good. We need to make it move forward and kind of show us its pretty bloom. I like to take my hand and just kind of do like, I don't get too fancy with a steamer or anything, but just use that wire in there. And we're going to have this one cut a little bit longer, so I cut it off a little bit. And we're going to use 2 in here. So this one's going to come up and to the right. I'm putting it into the foam, kind of on the front of the foam so it comes forward. Excellent. We'll let that get set up right there. Okay, why are you moving on me? Oh, why it's rolling. There we go. Sit there and be good. You can always do that, like use another piece of greenery to hold it till the glue dries. Perfect. This one's going to be shorter and a little tighter. It's a smaller bloom, but I'm going to open up just a little. I cut that to about 4 inches, 5 inches. We're going to bring that one right here. That one's better. Just go in there and just stay. What is your problem? There you go. So kind of tight to the bow a little. Now, let's come on this side. We're going to work opposite. So I'm going to use a big bloom and a bud this time. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to have a medium. No, you know what? I'm going to use a medium and a bud up here. And I'm going to save a big bloom and a bud for the bottom. Change in plans. So work opposite with the big one, with the next biggest one we have, which is this one. Okay. So that means if I'm going to go opposite, I'm down here below the transition, so it needs to come out this way. I'm just going to have it pop and look up. And this one goes a little bit farther out. Not too far, just a little bit. There you go. Just kind of popping out that bow. Nice. And this one will work opposite here. Kind of coming out to the side. So I'm going to trim that down. See, not so hard. Those sunflowers are in. I like it. And so they're opposite each other. So now our bow at the bottom. Down here, we're going to take and have it go. Trying to get you where you're right there. Yeah. Excellent. Let me grab the other bow. So do your trick where you pull all your ribbon back. Grab a dowel that you have in your glue. Bamboo works great for that, or just anything that's is strong to help you move the glue, but doesn't. It's safe and it's not going to cause a fire. So be careful with regular wood. I always have my glue pot off though when we're not creating. It doesn't sit here for hours on. Okay, we're going to push this in. I love that. And so we're going to work these tails kind of in with that greenery. Let's see if you can see that. Yep, you can. And then we'll have more florals coming in there. We got to get our main sunflower in the bottom. We don't have a lot of flowers going in these, but I thought these were fun to kind of tuck in around our bow. So in here, let's just use two. We've got all of this greenery coming down, which is kind of going to be the major point of the greenery. But let's just tuck two sunflowers right in to the bow. So I'm trimming these down still about 5 or 6 inches because I've got to get out. I got 7 inches of loop there, right? I've got to work my way out. So once you figure out how long it needs to be, you can trim it back. And I've got about 2 inches of foam behind that, so, you know, play with it a little bit. Keep seeing, okay, how much do I need here? There's that one. It's just kind of poking out, coming with the loops. All right, and I'm just going to keep this one right with it, and we're going to go right beside it here. So these sunflowers are just going to be on this side. Okay, now that that's done, now these will be gluing in, getting set up, and then we'll be ready to add all our wildflowers and then our other smaller butterflies, and then our greenery. A yellow filler, and I'm going to just tear this off of this bush. When you do the bottom part, the stems are white, which is fine because most of these we trim that short anyway. So we're gonna use this part on the top and this part probably on the bottom. So I'm gonna start with this half, and we will trim these down to where the white starts. And we want to make sure we leave those clustered. All right, we're gonna start with these first. Start us off. Right in here, I'm gonna do one piece out immediately between. So I get yellow out to make a triangle. Same thing out here. A little bit longer to where this is coming out in between my yellow flowers. See how pretty that is? Perfect. Now we're going to go tighter with my other pieces. And make sure with these you straighten them first. You don't want them kind of fighting your direction. We got our bow in there in the bow zone, and now we're just tucking these right in. We're staying with our pattern of the triangle. So we're just going to go one long, one short. So one short right here. Yeah, that looks good. Love that. You can spread those out a little bit and fill it. This is just the greatest whimsical wildflower look when you can do that. And let's rock and roll out the top now. Just out at the top, coming right between your layers of ribbon. So tighter to the bow and the greenery behind. Kind of working forward a little bit. Now we're working that loopy bow. Yep. And then one more right here. And use them to kind of hold those layers sitting up, right? It creates more dimension in the bow is what we're doing by putting these pieces in there. I call that breaking the plane of that material and kind of working for it. Oh yes, I love that. I love that. I get excited. Great. So we've achieved a really good amount of wispiness up here at the top. Oh, it looks good. Now let's come to the bottom. So I'm going to move this up, and that's when we start to see that wildflower look. All right, it's going to set you apart and be different. Yellow in the bottom. So now grab all your yellow you have left. I think I have 3 pieces. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to add one piece right here to complete my triangle, and then we'll use the rest in around the bow. We really want to make sure we are, this one I can cut into a couple of pieces because it's a thick one. Here's my one piece coming between these two. Shaping that out. We have this little bit of a trail coming into our tails right here. Okay, I love that. Now let's work in between them. All right, come on up, yeah. Push it in. Very nice. Let's go down below. Right in here. We're just working in between the layers of the bow. You want to hear that crunch every time you go into that foam. Really important. Let's have one more coming up. I think I'm going to step back and just check. I think we're going to need just, I like the idea that there's just 3. That looks good. I'm just going to make it a little fatter here at the top, okay? And that gets all of our yellow in, which looks really good. I love it. And we're kind of breaking plan of that monarch, and that looks good. Let's hold our twigs off for just a second. I'm going to do a little of this and a little of this at the same time. So to prep this bush, it's got these cute little butterflies in there too, which I think are going to be fun to kind of have going around. They're simple, nothing too crazy, just like a nice little simple touch. So this piece just tears off into nice little sections. And when we do that, we get 1, 2, 3 butterflies, 4 sections. So ideally we'll use 2 butterflies up there, 1 down here, okay? And I'm going to start with working on this bottom section. And I think it's going to be cute to have like a shorter piece. Here's one that's got like the butterflies down a little bit. Take each one of these and shape them up, right? Make them move for you. Be the boss of them. Shake hands. Trim this top piece off because we don't need these super long. And I'm going to have this kind of coming right out of the top of the bow. Cleaned it up a little, and now I'm working on it coming right out of here. Okay, yeah. Perfect. How about that? That looks great. And that little butterfly is coming out of here. That's so cute with the yellow. I love it because we've got a touch of both colors in there. Now, I'm going to take the other part of that piece of greenery and we're going to work it just right in, right where we have our yellow already. I'm going to pull up my layers. Make sure you're getting that into the foam. You got good glue on it and just work it between your layers of the bow. It has a cute little bloom on it. And this piece is the other piece, and I'm going to just separate it a little bit. It's a little too long the way it comes. So I just separate that into 2 separate little pieces. And we're going to use 1 more on this side of the bow. So you just move over a piece of your bow, stick that into the foam, hear it crunch. We're going to work that through the loops. Okay, fantastic. Now, I'm going to just stop and we're going to finish the bottom right now all together while we're in the zone together. Let's do that first, okay? Because we're doing really good. Now, grab your green. You have a little bit of green left. I'm going to use, let's start with 1 piece here. You see, I can divide this into 2 very easily, where I can take this make 1 and that make 1. So we're doing detail work here, so we're slowing it down, and we are taking our time and really making this bow pop by separation of the layers and then putting our greenery right between it. Okay, and then that looks so good, and it kind of comes forward. There you go. Okay, there's 1 there. Now let's go between these 2. Another little piece. So we just take a big piece and we break it down. All right, and you have to be patient and you have to bend the wires a little bit because you can't get into the center of the bow. You have to kind of come from the outside in. That's good. And 1 more right here. So every time you do them, you're kind of doing them in a triangle. cut off this top part. Okay, so here I'm just going to make my own little pick, twist that around, and then we can glue those in together, okay? These have such good wires. You don't need anything special to put that in. We don't need a pick machine. Just twist it, and we're going into foam. It's very easy. Glue, tuck it in, wiggle it around. All right, good. We're killing it. We got our extra little butterfly. We've got our tails. We went in good around all of our loops. We will play with our tails a little if we want to. We like have them curly. Before you take your pictures or before you stage it, you can decide how much you want of that. All right. Now we have enough to use a little bit of twig here at the bottom. I think we'll use a lot of this at the top, but I'll use this one little piece here at the bottom. And let's just have it kind of, we have this twig behind. Let's just kind of have it kind of come from below on the right. Okay, and I just cut that from one of the twigs. I took the foliage off and put it with it. We're going to go right underneath. Okay, that's pushed in, and now I want you to work that just a little bit forward. Bend it a little bit forward. Good. Okay. Doesn't that look great? Okay, there's our bottom. We crushed it on the bottom. Now we're going to take that same time and we're going to go work on the top. We are going to start with our butterflies first, and we have two butterflies actually, 3 pieces, excuse me, of this left, okay? So we're going to break that up into smaller pieces again. Actually on this one, you're going to have to probably use them pretty close to full because we're trying to get out a little bit more between those loops, not a lot. So I'm going to cut this one here. Kind of do the same thing, but just double check before you get too far. So this one's only going to have leaves. So I'm going to kind of use this one in between here. We got a sunflower sitting here, but I'd like some more dainty stuff kind of up between that. So I'm going to put the leaves here, kind of coming down. Now take some of those pretty flowers. Here's the other piece. That has a little butterfly. And we'll put that right in here. And be careful, you're not getting the glue all over your bow. It happens, but try not to. If that happens, just let it dry, then pull it off. Don't mess with it while it's really wet, or sometimes you'll make it worse. Perfect. Now let's work opposite that with the other butterfly. And we'll cut it a similar way. So I need to kind of have that. Let's cut it here and here. You'll have a couple of little clusters. I'll start with my longer cluster first. We'll work in opposite. Which works good. We're going right up in here into the twigs and the wildflowers. And so I'm going to go beside this because we don't have that much right here. And remember, if there's not a spot, you're like, Clee, my foam is all covered right there. Just move it a little and then bend the wire, okay? Put it in the foam where you have the spot and bend it. It's behind that bow. No one's going to see it. Nobody's going to know. Here comes this one. This one has the other butterfly. Yay. And they're working opposite. Fantastic. Okay, now our wispy greenery. Oh, we have one more yellow. Okay, so I'm going to go make that a triangle. Then the wispy greenery. Then the twigs. Okay, go between your tails down here. I want to pull this up. Use the florals to help hold the stuff up. Layers up. Yep, that works good. Now wispy. And once again, we'll trim this to make it two of them about the same size right here. Okay. And we're just going to start to put this between the layers too. I like the more dainty pieces of greenery closer to the center. I think they look delicate. You can kind of see from them onto the ribbon. Yeah, looks good. Do you see the detail we're doing in a wildflower? We are leading with the wispy. Like, we picked out a greenery that's very wispy on purpose to really have that lacy look. You could do this for all kind of seasons. It's just really fun for spring as well, but it's awesome in the fall. Anytime you can have that, it gives that very lacy look, okay? Let's put in just a little bit more around here. Just continue to work that pretty look. And then we're gonna put our twigs in and finish this beauty up. I can't wait to show you her up close. You're gonna love her. Like you will not believe. Let's go right in here again. I'm gonna go tight to that bow. So I'm kind of just working really tight in here so that these can overlap. Come through those loops. I want to bring a striped loop a little bit more forward. There you go. And here. Okay. Okay, you ready for the last touches? Let's pan back out. Show you how beautiful. That's just beautiful. And it has that finished wildflower look. It's popping off the base. It's popping. So these, I'm separating them into smaller pieces. And then I have one more of these cool twigs. And we're going to use that just to kind of come out and be funky a little bit more in the foreground. So I'm going to leave this pretty long. And we're going to let this come forward. Right out of this part of the bow. Right here, yep. That looks good. It's just so funky. And that moss on there, woo, it's good stuff. Okay. Now these, we're going to use independently, more detail pieces. So these ivy type pieces, I want to use those places where they can kind of crawl out. So I'm twisting to make my own little pick. Right here is a great spot for one. It can crawl right out of the layers. Now I want to use one more. Right here at the bottom. Make sure you hear the crunch. And then the curl, like a really cool curl like this, utilize that forward. Definitely have that coming forward. That's going to look so good coming out of the bow. Let it come on out. Get it into that foam. Here. So the detail work takes a little time, but it always is going to show up really good on some up close pictures, and that's where you can put that on your listing if you're selling. And if you're making it for you, it's going to be your favorite part when you take a look at what you've made. I promise you, you're going to go, I love that part, because I love those curly things. Y'all, I don't know where you look me up in the dictionary why I get so excited about this stuff, but I love it. They are happy, curly, mossy. It's just like a little fairy garden in here, and this big butterfly came in here, and he landed, and now everybody's having a party around him. Oh, I love it. Okay, I'm going to take this one. I'm going to go hide this little piece right here. We've done a really good job now of camoing all the foam up here. It's good. I'm not worried about it. I've got my bow all propped up. And so, let me show you. Hey, you ready? I'm going to give you a full-on picture. Y'all, this is so good. Wait till you see the finished pictures. I cannot wait to see how you make your version. But I love it. This one is going to be a garden inspired with lots of pinks and beautiful florals. So I'm going to show you our sign where we're going to pull all of our color from for this project. We're working with an 18-inch wreath grapevine base, and we're going to be using this sign right here, which is super cute. It says garden on it, and we're going to be putting that right in the center of this design, okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of how we're going to lay it out. The design is going to be 360, so it's going to go completely around in one direction. So I'm going to show you the florals we're picking out for it. It will not have any ribbon. This is all a floral project. So we know from here we're going to use dark pinks, light pinks, greens, and just a little touch of whites from the white florals that we have in this too, okay? So with that being said, let me show you what we got. Now, let me show you. Here's our greenery, which is a really pretty light pink with a gorgeous green on here. It's a really pretty greenery, and it's got that touch of pink that has almost hot pink on the edge or dark pink all the way to like a coral in the middle. So the combo is perfect on here because I've got a lighter, almost corally pink here to the dark pink in the floral. Okay, so you can see that on there. So I knew that that was our perfect greenery for that. Then we also have another kind of complex greenery that I like because it's got a bit of white in it. And this one has white berries and a little bit of variegation on the leaves. So that just pulls in the white color that's also in the sign. So these two right here. And then I really want to hone in on the dark pink on the interior of the design. So that's why I picked out this. It's light pink, almost corally, to the dark pink in the center. So the combination is just perfect for this sign we want to use. So we know that we want this to be the focal point in the center of the design. So when we bring it in, it's going to be riding right here in the middle. Now, in order for us to just have an easy start to this project where we kind of green out the base without this in it, I prefer to put this as our second step, okay? So we can get the greenery going and we're not fighting around this. If you're uncomfortable with doing that, you can put this in first and you'll just have to tuck some greenery behind each side, but that's an option as well. But I'm going to put it in second. So when I attach this, I know I'm going to be attaching it to either side and riding it right in the middle. So I will not be getting any coverage of any greenery except on these two edges. So when I put the pieces in, I've got to make sure I'm covering the mechanics as I work my way around the perimeter. Start off by putting our hanger on to just get this puppy started. Spin around, and then I start to put my wires underneath and bring them up. Just gently bring them up through the grapevine. Okay, so they're both coming up on either side. Now you take and flip that up, and it can go above the wreath because our design will be covering that. And I just twist these around. And I've got my built-in hanger ready to go. Flip these down, flip them down. And voila, my hanger is on and I am ready to start putting my greenery on my base. Okay, so let's zoom in just a little bit. We're gonna start with our first greenery. It is all the pink, okay? So we're gonna start to get just equal positioning of it all around the perimeter. So once everybody's prepped, we need to do a little bit of handshaking and start to place these in. Now, it looks like we're gonna get one like this, and these are fairly similar too. I wanna kind of see how each bush is gonna be. 3 and 4. They're all pretty similar. Everybody's got one of those cool twigs. I was afraid not everybody got one, but everybody got one. So I'm gonna take and shake hands with each piece before we put it on. I usually like to curl up the curlies, and then we're gonna start to place these in each quadrant. And remember, I'm not gonna go way out to the perimeter. We're gonna stay kind of on the inside. So I'm gonna start right here at the top, pushing it in. And we're gonna need our Spanish moss close to us. So let me put that underneath. Got my little bucket here. So you can cover up your mechanics. We'll kind of be overlaying the greeneries, but we're gonna start to work our way around. And technically I have 4 per quadrant I can use. So I'm gonna put 1. Let's go out just a little bit with number 2. Out, I just went out a little bit. This one's a little more in, a little bit more out. This one has a little flower in it. Number 3 has a little bit of the greenery, so I'm gonna alternate greenery, flower, kind of staying here on the inside. And you're gonna wanna come in and cover these with a little moss to cover that glue. That way it looks polished and finished. And let's get number 4 in. Flower. So I alternated. Some have just a berry, some have a flower. Oh, and we've got I forgot to do our twiggies. I am scatterbrained today. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to get it together. It's going to be a scatterbrained day, I know. All right, twist, and let's go one more down. So if you like this design too, without any of the sign, we can totally make it without the sign. It's fine too. Now let's bring the sign back up so we can figure out where it's going in. I love these mix sprays. So if it's going in right there, yeah, we're fine on our placement. We're good because that'll just lay right beside it. See? No problem. Let's keep working our way around. Grab one without a flower. We're going to alternate flower, then flower. 3 per section. Let's start spreading them out. Flower. So my whole point and what I was about to say to you was, you can put them in without gluing them at all. And then come back and work on gluing them back in. Especially if you are going to be a teacher like me today. You're like, here's what we're doing. And then just totally not do it. Let's put it way out on the edge. Let me see if I can get flower, no flower right. That's going to be a challenge. Now I'm working my way around to the other side. Curl my curls. All right, here comes the flower one. I'm working my way up. Get my little twig out, curl it up. Great. Flower, non-flower. And if you can, I'm trying to kind of overlap a little bit of the greenery so I don't have to use as much glue. Cover the moss. Glue cover. Yeah. Glue cover. New words today. I am not giving in. I'm not giving in to whatever's taking over my brain and body today. I am not surrendering. There we go. And I have one more that has a flower. So I think I'm gonna pull this one out right here that we put in. See if I can save it. Grab any of my moss. Save it. We're gonna do a no flower right here. Oh, get in there, buddy. There you go. And then I'm going to put the other flower right here at the top, kind of coming over. So we'll have a section that has a couple of flowers, but I think it'll look fine. Okay. See, I told you I wasn't going to give in. Even when I wanted to scream and yell at it. There we go. Now, we have some other greenery to add too, but we tried to stay kind of in this zone here where we weren't out too far. I see a little spot here. I need some moss on my glue to hide it. But we started out our base pretty good. But we got it spread around. We can also take these and spread these out more, but don't quite do that yet because we want to add in our other greenery, okay? Before we put the greenery in with this week's project next, I want to put the sign in first, okay? So we can kind of figure out how we need to space that greenery around, because we need to bring in that little bit of the white color from the florals on the sign. So we're gonna put the sign in next. So I have it flipped around over here, and what I did so far was not too exciting, but I took and I stapled 3 staples here and 3 staples here. We need to take off the tag too, or cover that with one of your labels on your piece if you sell your work. So these are stapled in, 2 18-gauge wires on either side, okay? And what I don't ever trust staples by themselves. I want to show you really quick what I do. And you can do this with Spanish moss. But you know how we're always saving the leaves from things we are, I pull off the leaves of a lot of stuff. What you can do is put a little glue on there. Excuse me, I just kicked the can over here. This is a leaf off one of the hydrangeas or something we used. If you'll just pull it, usually you can pull it off of the plastic stem, okay? Now, I can just put this on there just like a little cover on my wires, and then they'll see nothing, okay? And now I've got a little backup on those staples. So I'm going to do that on both sides. Let me see if you can see what I'm doing over here. There we go. So on this right side, do the same thing. So just pull the bigger leaves off of the stems, and you don't have to worry about that. And then you just take and put some glue. I'm putting glue on my staples, and I'm kind of wiggling it in there a little bit. And the reason I want to do that is just so I can, it's just another way to prevent potentially the staples from pulling out. Because sometimes they have a mind of their own. So it looks like that from the back. No big deal. And then I'm going to take my time in just a second. I'm going to wire this right into the center of the design. And when I get ready to wire that in, the main thing I want you to think about is I don't really want those wires kind of coming out the entire back. You're going to want to grab your variegated greenery stems. And I already started prepping them this time for you. So this one has 3 on it. It'll have one more here and one right here. I already tore them off and started prepping them because we're going to take each little cluster that comes off like this when you tear it off the stem. We're going to break this into 2 sections. Okay? So you can see on the table I've kind of already started to collect what they look like when you break that down. And basically one section will have a little bit of white, a little eucalyptus down here, or it might have a berry, and the other section will have the berry, but it has the variegated leaf. Okay, so we're going to separate these out to 2 sections just by trimming them and neaten up that last cut. So they're very nice and neat. And we're going to alternate their placement. The reason we do this is it helps us get an even look going, because we've got all our pieces in, we got our sign in, and now we're going to work around that. Okay, so the variegated pieces are going to the outside. So they still go in the same area, but they go to the outside. And each one of the pieces we already went in, we're going to go between each one of those with one of these or one of the green ones. Okay, we should have exactly enough pieces to do that. So I'm going to take and start my first one. And it's going to go right in between these 2. I've got a variegated one right here. And very pretty. So my next one will be a solid green. It's going to come to the inside. Okay. So instead of going outside, this one comes inside right here. Okay. So you're going to alternate. Outside, inside. And I'm trying to get my, if I can, I get my glue to the inside so I don't have to cover it with moss. It's up to you. Now I'm going to work my outside, the variegated color. So we're alternating those colors as we bring it in, and that we get good distribution. And we go in between the 2 pieces we already have in there, okay? Get in there nice and pretty. And make sure you are really getting everybody. Once you put them in, go ahead and have them stand up and look pretty. Now a solid green one to the middle. Okay, just hold it like a pencil, give it a swirl in the glue pot. And this one comes right here. I love it. All right, let me get that off. And let's go to the outside with the variegated one. So skip this one, come here. So that's going to be the only trick, just to keep skipping. And if you do get a little glue where you can see it, you cover it up right now while it's hot. No big deal. All right, then I need a solid one. That one's right there. So the solid one would be right here, which is fine. I'm going to put it right above our little transition. And I'm going to pick one that has, a couple of our solid ones have a little bit of white berry, and I think that'd be a good place to use that one. Some just have eucalyptus. So if you're confused about what I'm talking about, I'm just dividing the greenery. Instead of into 3 sections, we divided it into 6 sections. So we had it even smaller. So we got to make sure we alternate when we place it in. All right, here comes this one to the outside. Right here. Oops, I hit my finger. Right there, and then we'll bring in a solid one here. And just work your way around. And this one comes more to the middle. So if this one is here, this one comes more to the inside. So I just put it a little tighter. And we can, when we get ready to put our flowers in at the end, we'll manipulate them a little bit. Okay. This one here. And this one right here. This is the darker greenery. And then the white one. And then one more. So we're filling it in, making it nice and lush with greenery and full. And my last little one, just make sure I didn't miss any holes anywhere, because I actually have one here, so I must have missed something space-wise. So maybe hold one off. Let's just hold one off, and then we will use this one wherever we need to. I've missed it somewhere in our flow. Does that surprise you? Rose bush that we're using that has the rose bushes and the cute little bits of hydrangea. And these blooms are also fun to kind of open up a little once you get them in here. We'll be doing that. What I want you to do with this one, we are not going to use this greenery. It's not going to go with the look we're doing. So we're going to pull this down. Once again, you can save this right on its own little bush to use as a filler. Or even today, how we used it on the back of that sign. We needed some leaves. We can hold on to it. Push these down. We want to cut them fairly long. So I push it as far down as it goes, and then I'm going to cut off the whole bush. You're going to do this for both bushes and get them prepped and ready. But we're going to use 4 above the sign and 4 below the sign. But the first one's going to start right here, okay? So trim down your stems as you get to where the section you're going in. And this one's going to stay tight to the base. Get a lot of glue on those. So can we get it in this little area right here? Yep, perfect. And then I feel that wiggling around when I put it in, so that tells me I need a little moss behind it, because the area I went into might have been too open. So there we go. As soon as you feel it tightening up, you know you're doing the right thing. So there's my first cluster of roses, and then I got some greenery here, and so I'm going to zigzag up. My next one will go up a little higher in here. So they're not all real tight to the sign, but every other one is. Okay. So rose and a little hydrangea. 2 of the hydrangeas can have, 2 of these stems have enough to have double hydrangea. So I think I'll pick one right here, and we'll put those together. I'll trim that off and hold that like a pencil. And that's where a lot of designers would use a stemming machine or a pick machine, but I just use glue and put them in 3 independently. And put them with the moss to eliminate a step. We don't need it. Why have to deal with the metal pick coming out the back and all that? We're just going to put it right in. Okay, so up a little higher. Now I'm going to come down a little lower. So rose and a hydrangea. And we'll come in right here. So here's my midline of my sign. So that works perfect. I'm coming on this right side of it. And I'm still kind of working with this flow. The flowers are facing a little bit forward though. Make sure you're cutting them short enough where they're not coming out the back, but they're long enough to grab into your wreath. So that's going to depend on your shape every time. There we go. Beautiful. A little bit of greenery. This is that dark greenery. I want to work between them. So up, down, up, down, up. Even though we're moving out a little bit. Giving that rose a little love. So this one ends up kind of being out here, which is going to kind of change the shape of our wreath. So let me see if I can push this one back just a little bit with their wires. So she's a little bit tighter there, and I'll come out a little bit farther here. I like that better. Okay. Once again, you could place these in without gluing and then come back and glue them. is no problem. I've got my dark green greenery right here. This one's supposed to be out a little bit more, so I got it out a little bit more. Pretty! Now pull a little bit of floral in between those. Let these kind of sit up just a little bit. Okay, and we've done our top part. You see how pretty that turns out? And you can tuck this eucalyptus in to that little void right there. That's fine. And let some of these little curlies kind of break the plane of the sign, because then you'll be able to see them really pretty. Or the roses. Where's your curly here, buddy? You're bound to have one. Where I got way up there. There we go. Yes, I love that. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, it's looking so lush. Breaking the plane of the sign is helping do that up here. Okay, now we're gonna work our way into the bottom. All right. This one, we're gonna start from here. We're gonna kind of work backwards. So this one was tight, so the next one's gonna be out, away from the base a little. And we're gonna use one bloom and one of the hydrangeas together, and I'll trim those to match. And this one, actually, when I end up trimming, it's kind of short, so let's use that one for a tight one. We need one a little bit longer for this one, so I'm going to pick, so I got to be away from the base a little bit. Once again, I'm going to open up, flatten out my bloom, put those together, and then this, remember the flow's this way, but the roses are kind of sitting forward. I don't really have too much of an angle on their heads. Okay, so zigzag out. Coming forward right here. I love that. Let me put a little moss in there. Make sure they're not going to move on me. All right, so we're zigzagging, we're coming back in, closer, tighter right here. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're just trying to think about your placement as you're going along. I'm taking the two smaller ones here. They had the smaller stem. I hear the dogs are barking about something, guys. It's me all paranoid. Like, what are they barking at? Okay, let's bring in some moss. Separate these, bring some of those curls forward like we talked about. All right, now we'll have one come out a little bit, and this one could be our double doozy. Our double one was here. Let's have this double one be across from it. So where it gets two hydrangeas here. And I've got greenery right here. So it really needs to go right about here between these. And it's supposed to be away from the base. These I cut a little short, so I'm gonna have to have the double doozy be here tight and use these too long. So let that be a lesson. Don't cut them too short, because I did that one bush, I cut it too short. Which you can take and add a pick to, guys. It's not a huge deal, but I try to save time with that. All right, that one's gonna be out a little bit more, but still facing everybody, so I'm gonna bend it. Here we go, let me get some Spanish moss. My dang, all is moving on me. I pulled that up and everything started moving. Okay, let me spread this around a little bit. I kind of tuck it in. So yeah, like see how I'm using that other pick to make that head come up a little? And we know our last one's tight right there to the base right there, and that's the one I'm going to use two on. So we've really kind of worked hard to zigzag in and out, in and out. And it's a little tricky when you're going around the corners of something. It gets a little tricky. got these 3 stems in here. They're going to go tight right over here. Okay. What do you think? What do you think? I think she looks pretty darn pretty. Now I want you to walk around and take a look at what you got going here and see where you might want to add your very last piece. And for us, it's right there on that corner. That must have been where we missed that one piece when we were going around. So I'm going to place this right in between, right here. Okay. And then we are good to go. This video, we are going to be working with this beautiful butterfly. It's part of the kit we're making. This particular project, the kit does not come with a wreath base because we are using a big one. You can always downsize it if you want to, but we are going to use a 24-inch grapevine in here. So really big. This is going to be our big showstopper. Excited about that. And here is our butterfly. So we're going to pull our colors from this. The only thing we're not going to do a whole lot with is the gold, because we want this to be kind of just have that rustic, elegant touch. So we're going to pull out the blues, a little bit of a purpley pink, and then the nice bright pink that's in there, okay? So our greenery, you're going to need 4 bushes of the fishtail because this is going to set our really great perimeter and give us that nice wildflower texture, which we're going for. This time we're also going to give the wildflower texture with a couple of bushes of twigs. So those really pull in the brown background. We're going to make that cohesive and pull that together, which looks really good in contrast to the touch of the elegance and the gold on our butterfly. Then we are going to bring in some beautifully beautiful pink hydrangeas. Beautiful. And this is a mini rose, which we're going to mix into. It has a little bit of a kind of a rustic, this is like a baby's breath that pulls in that creamy color. And then to hone in a little bit more of the wildflower, we're going to use a lavender because there's just a touch of lavender on the tips of those parts of the butterfly and a pink wildflower. The ribbons that we're going to go into here, we're using the pink and the pretty blue teal. And those two are going to go in there to make a beautiful bow. First thing we're going to do is attach our butterfly. For our design, I'm going to put the butterfly kind of up here, kind of resting into the wreath slightly where there's not too much room between here. And in order to put her in, I'm just going to use some cable ties and go in down here where I can camouflage it easily. I'm kind of running it through the grapevine back through, where it doesn't really show in the back too much. Let me just hold this with 2 hands. Just bring her back up. All right, and let's get that tight in there. All right, and let's go back on the right side over here. And I'm gonna put her in maybe about right there. Okay, so there's plenty of room for Floral over here because I want that to really pop over. So 2 of these should be adequate. We're able to attach them to the frame really tight. And then you just want to do that little test. Okay, she's good. She's not flopping. She's not going to hit the door underneath. Then I'm going to trim these off. And the first thing I'm going to do is cover those with some Spanish moss, so they're camouflaged. I got a little Spanish moss here. And let's do that now. A little bit of glue on that. And that way that'll just hide into the background. Okay, and just like that, our first layer in the background is ready. So now you're going to want to grab one of your twig bushes and 2 of your fishtail ferns, okay? And we're going to prep these both first. With the twig bushes, if you'll just untwist them, they're going to come out into 3 different stems. All right, and to prep these, what I do is I just take and tear these off. Now, this is actually really good wire. I like to save those for hangers on wreaths. So it may not be quite big enough for our wreath today. It might work fine, but I like to save those. They're good wires. Now, when you get done with these, you're going to line these up so they're about the same length, and I want you to trim all of those off. Okay, and you get a nice clean finish. That's what you need to be able to put that in the wreath. So you're going to prep one bush of these, which is basically 3 stems. We're going to use that in the background, okay? So we're going to prep one of those. And then we're going to prep 2 fishtail ferns to where we push them up just a little. We're still going to leave them long because this is a big piece. We need to extend the lines with this. So I'm going to cut these as long as they'll go so that they're pushed up a little, but they still have about a 2-inch stem. Trimming that off. And now these are ready to go. So what we're going to do is start with our greenery. Now our bow is going to sit kind of right down here in this zone right here. So, but you know that's going to be your transition. So if I start away from me, I'm going to start with 1 high, 1 low. So I'm going to take one, and we're going to make these little clusters where 1's high is 1 low, and I'm going to trim that. Over here to the right, now I'm going with the direction, and basically this is going to be kind of a C in an upward direction here. Okay? Now I'm going to use triangle placement as I work my way down, so my next piece will come, it's basically zigzagging. My next piece will come in here and go out this way. Okay, and we're setting that whole background perimeter. So a tall and a short. Trim them down. Once they're trimmed, then you're going to hold it like a pencil. Get a good amount of glue, and this one's going to go zigzag to the inside. Right here. That's fine. Have a little cavern in the wreath there. See how it's breaking the plane of the butterfly? I love that. I want to do that. We don't want anything to be flat. We want it to be really just tucked in there. Okay. Now we'll come to the outside. 1 high, 1 low. A tall and a short. Let's go on that outside. Still following the same direction. And I'm kind of putting these in kind of the midline, a little bit outside of it, just a little bit. When I'm talking the midline, that's this section of the wreath. So I'm not way outside, I'm not way inside. All right. Let's put one more. We're coming back to the inside. This is a tall and short here. There you go. I'm going to bend that one a little bit to get it to kind of C shape. And then we'll put one more on the outside over here. Remember, we're going to have more going on this right side than the left. There'll be less on the left. Okay, 1 tall and short. Hold it like a pencil. I'm swirling it in my glue, and then we're zigzagging, so I'm still coming down here. This is a more of an open cavern here, so I'm going to go down a little bit lower. There we go. I'm going to use more moss. Anytime I'm going into like a little bit more open place, use that moss to help grab the glue and make it a sandwich in there. Okay, great. This is just the start of the background greenery, just kind of setting the perimeter. Now let's come in the inside here on this side. We're leaving about a 5-inch bow zone, so we're going to change direction. I'm going to start up here on this side first, and I really don't plan to have florals behind here. We're going to let the brown show. We might put some twigs back there, but I'm going to go a long and a short. The short goes to the outside, okay? And let me just stand a little bit more in front for just a second here. I'm going to go to the outside. Perfect. Hit that with my Spanish moss. So the next one can kind of come to the inside. Got to get a little bit shorter. We want to kind of mirror this piece here. So give it a bend. Give it a bend, and that can just maybe tuck in right there. And remember, you're going to be standing in front of your piece. I'm off to the side so you can see what I'm doing. But don't make it hard. You don't need to do that. You stand right in front and look at what you're building while you're doing it. Fantastic. I got a cool twig there. It's not really going the way I want it to go, but I'm going to bend it and take it out. So those kind of match up here. Beautiful. Let's have one more piece going down. I'm going to break into another bush of my fishtail. Push these up a little bit, but still cut them long. And I'm going to go right between these to kind of finish up my zigzagging. Basically, zigzagging is triangle placement. Whichever way you're thinking that helps you wrap your mind around it is fine. Go right in here. That smaller piece needs to go to the outside, if possible. And remember, we're going into the grapevine. We're not shooting through the back. Just using some Spanish moss to secure it in. Okay, and let's just put a couple of pieces in the bow zone that are individual. Just to kind of get that area shored up a little bit. So I'm going to put one in here. And I'm just wiggling it through the grapevine. Lots of glue. And then how about one just kind of coming up right here. That's fine as well. So it's a bigger surface, more perimeter to set, to put in. But I think we've done a great job. Okay, these are our background twigs that we already prepped. So these we want to lay kind of flat in the background. They're not going to come forward. They're just going to be all setting the background perimeter. So I'm going to take one, and we're just going to put one basically right behind where we put greenery. And these have like a little C shape. So we want to make sure we're using the C shape kind of coming forward. And I'm not really going over the butterfly at this point. I'm going in the background. Go right behind the greeneries, and then you really won't have to use much more Spanish moss, and it should be kind of tight in that area because you got some other stems. There goes two of those. So on here, remember the transition is at the bow, which is going to be right in here. So we're just putting each of these right behind the greenery. Let's tuck it right behind where we went in before. Right, and let's have this one move upward. They are wired kind of at the base, so you can wiggle them all around. So all these C's are facing in. Facing in. We'll try to stay consistent with that. There you go. Okay, so now we're going to go to the other side. Other side means they're all going to face this way. So instead of being this way, they're all going to go this way now. Okay, I'm going to start at the top. And we're going behind those greeneries, not in front right now. We'll be having some in front when we get to that point, but right now we're working behind. Why don't you let me in that little crack right there? Because I know you're going to stay good there if you do. There you go. Okay, there's one. Let's go behind these. Even that outside one, so still has to kind of come in. the twig comes in. Goes behind there, just goes right between those others, cups in. Now right here. That way we've got lots of this in the back and a background layer. And then we'll have it also on the front when we do the front. And this is part of achieving that wildflower effect. And this time not with greenery or with floral, but actually with the twig. Keep going. And we've got this one down here, and here is where we're kind of at a transition. So I can have this one kind of scooped back that way, that's fine. I already put one there going the other way. Let's put this one here going this way. And wiggle it all around. That's great. So we got a good background twigs rocking. Let's put a couple more at the top that kind of go right behind their wings and just scoop around, okay? They're very tip parts. Okay. That's fine right there. A little glue string, and this one right here will come that way. So it's almost like we added a different layer of texture to the background, which I think is a lot of fun. Okay, and this one this way. And they have those wires, so we can kick them back or forward, whatever we want to do. Okay, that did take the whole bush, so the twigs are in. Yay! All right, the flowers are next. Pink hydrangeas, we're going to be using those. We'll be using 2 over there and 1 over here. Remember, we have more florals on the right than the left. And with these, I don't keep the leaves, just going to pull off the leaves, and you can save those for any type of coverage you need to do on another piece. And then I'm going to cut these down to 6-inch stems on here. And then you've got them each about this long. We don't need them much longer for what we're doing, okay? So I'm going to take my first piece, and it's going to go right in the middle of this zone right here. I'm going to be gluing these in on the first go, but you can always push stuff in and then come back to glue it. But if I were you, I would take it 1 layer at a time. I wouldn't put the whole wreath together. Then you have a lot to redo. Okay, I'm going to put that in. I did bend the head forward just a little. And now I'm coming in to cover my glue with the moss. So it is kicking forward a slight bit, okay? So we got a good dimension. Now my second one is going to come in, and let's have it move out a little bit, just a little. Let's see, let's take this one. And we'll kick it out to the right a little. So these stems are about 6 inches long, so you got to come, if you want the head to be here, you got to put it below that, right? So I'm lower than that, pushing it in. You want to feel it go into that vine. And then I'm going to take and put my Spanish moss on it. And set that one right in there. Yeah, pretty. This one up. Okay, and then my third one is going to go on the right. So we'll have a triangle, but it will work across the design. Okay? So let's put this one down here. And remember, we've got a little bit of a stem because we want to have that dimension. So I'm going to push it down a little bit deeper than it needs to be so I can bend and move it. And we can have some movement to it. Okay, let me cover up all this. These are so pretty because I have a little bit of the green and the pink. Whoa, that's so pretty. Okay, those are in. 2 on that side, 1 on this side. All right, we got that part. All right, we're going to be ready for fillers next. So we're going to grab our pink fillers first. And these we're using the mini rose bush. And what we're going to do with these, they come in clusters of 3 like this, and they're about this long. So what you're going to want to do is just trim off the last little piece on there. I thought I saved one not trimmed, but it looks like I trimmed them all, guys. Oh, here's one. It's like I got ahead of myself. I've just taken off that bottom section. It's got a little indentation there, so it's really easy to cut. We're going to do that, and we'll end up with 6 pieces. So in general, we'll probably use a couple pieces here, 1 at the bow, and then the other 3 working its way up. I know that we're going to need some fishtail in between the greenery we already have. So what we're going to do is take our fishtail now, and I'm going to push it up, make it just a little bit shorter, and trim that. And let's lay that kind of in the background, and then we'll put our filler in. So we keep that wispiness. So in between where we had the other fishtail earlier, we're going to come and put this in individually. So I'm going to come in between these two and put a piece in. And if you need the Spanish moss, put the Spanish moss if it's sitting good and you feel like, oh, that went in nicely. Now you have other things to put it in with. Little sections. I went in between those. Let's go down our way. And make sure you're kind of staying in the midline here when you put it in. See how that comes out pretty now? Let's do it right here. Same thing. I'm going right between my other greeneries. Yeah. And now to the outside. And that's going to give us a little bit more going on behind our filler that we're about to put in. Especially up here in this area. Beautiful. Okay, and then let's put one maybe right here, kind of working its way behind that bloom here. Okay, so we just filled it in a little bit. We have 4 pieces of fishtail left, which is going to go around the bow. I'm going to keep that down there. Now, let's get our filler that we already did prep. We trimmed every one down, and they come in clusters of 3. I still left them kind of long because we've got to get out behind things. So my first piece is going on this side, and I'm going to have it sit kind of right here. Go back. I got to go down a little bit more. There you go. Okay, I'm going to use my Spanish moss in there. Fill that in. Fantastic. Okay, let me step back for a second. Now my next piece, I'm going to work it more to the inside right here. Or to the outside. I think I like it to the outside. Let's go to the outside. We're kind of getting close to our bow zone, so we're not really going too hard in there, but we're in that general area. These have a good wire, so you can kick them up, down, or up, whatever you want. Okay, bow zone, so let's transition the other way. Let's take this one and have it go up. So I'm shaping it where the large roses, the longer roses in the back, and the shorter roses in the front. Try to get it into the wreath, guys. That wanted to come like forward. No. I had to boss it around. So I'm going to put this one over here, and that leaves us 2 more working our way up, okay? Let's go. Cannot wait to get our bow in. I think we're going to make that next, because then we'll have like a starting point to put all the greenery and stuff around the bow. Okay, let's work our way up. I'm going to put the next one here, kind of zigzagging, and we're shaping that up. The big bloom in the back, longer bloom, the short ones in front. I am giving that bottom stem a little kick forward. That just went between those. Great. Now let's go up here. So we're introducing a larger bloom in with our wildflowers to kind of add some interest. And we have this big butterfly in the back, which is really drawing your eye into the design. Okay, bring that forward. Looks good. I can see a little glue there. Let me get my Spanish moss in. Y'all, so pretty. Let's get back here and hide that. Camoed. Ooh, it's looking so full. Let me show you close up. Look how pretty. See it? You feel it? Yeah. It's looking really good. It's giving us that really nice, elegant look. I love it. So I'm going to start with this is our pretty teal. It has a reversible navy blue on there, so it's got a nice dramatic ribbon. And then this one is a Dupont. It has that silky finish, that neat finish, and we'll have that on top of it. So I'm going to start with this in the background. And I would like about a 16-inch tail to start here. I'm just going to cut that at an angle. And we'll measure that out on our bow maker. I'll bring that to the center and I'm going to twist, okay? And I'm going to keep the green forward and the blue on the back. So I'm thinking about that as I'm making my loops. I'm going to go all the way out to 7, nice and loopy, and twist. Keep that loopy out here, 7 on this side. Perfect. Twist. We're going to have 2 loops in the back. This ribbon is really nice. It's going to sit up really pretty. And our design will go 7 on the right here. Okay, I'm going to scrunch that. And I'm going to have this tail be a little bit longer at about 20 so they're not symmetrical. Okay. So one's just a little bit longer than the other. Really spread those out nice. Now I'm going to bring the pink on top. And we're going to have matching tails. First one will be the shorter tail. I'm going to twist. Put 2 fingers in the middle to hold that. And now I'm going out at 7, same length. We're not going to taper in. Everybody's going to stay nice and long. Hold that in the center, bring your next loop to the middle, just back it up a little. Twist, and we're going to do 3 loops now. Just lay 1 in the middle, and the other 2 will just lay right on top of these others. This gives us our pretty color combo. I'm going to measure on the last one, and then I'll spread it out. Scrunch that and then bring these back to cut that. And now let's come back with the green blue in the middle. About the same length tail again, and I'll twist. And I'm going to cut that one at an angle cut. Now we're coming into the middle, and I'm going to go a little bit smaller at 6 for this center loop. Scrunch it down. And another really a little bit shorter tail to finish her off. And now I'm ready to bring this off the bow maker. I'm going to go right beside. Bring that up. Rotate that through your fingers and let's start to fluff this out. Really shape up this nice loopy bow. I love this one because all the loops are the same length basically except for that center one. It's going to have lots of pretty movement. Okay, when I'm all done, I'm going to attach my cable tie to the back. That's how I'm going to put it on the wreath. Pull that tight. And let's just cut this off. And now we're ready to add our ribbon to the middle. Just lay that down. Okay, and I'm going to go with the pink in the middle. So we'll just cut a piece here. That's about 10 inches long. And that'll cover our mechanics, make it very polished down the middle. And you don't see any wire or cable tied on there, and we are good to go. Okay, and this bow is ready to go in our wreath. I think you're gonna love it. Oh, look at it. So full of pizzazz and tails. It's a killer one. We're going to put the bow in. I want you to play with this. You could put it where you match the angle. You could put it where you kind of go against the angle, or you could come back this way, kind of tuck this bow in right here, and I like that the best, where it's kind of tucked in and not facing forward. It's kind of sitting here, matching the direction of our butterfly. So I'm going to put this kind of like this, a little cattywampus. So I'm going to put the tails doing this, splitting that stuff. If you have to take some floral out, you take some floral out. It's okay. We tried to leave plenty of room in the bow zone, but you never know how much we need. But I like that sitting up here. So let's go in with that. Kind of, so it's sitting kind of at the top of the wreath. Don't let it sag down or go forward. Put it through the branches up here so it has to sit up. Okay. I'm going to trim that off. I put it real tight because I want to control how it's leaning. I love this stuff, guys. Woof. Okay, let's curl a little. Let's play a little. Got some tails rocking here. We got some tails kicking out over here. But I like to bring these forward. And we're going to have floral in between the layers a little bit. So that's going to be fun. Now I'm going to take this out because it ends up not coming out of the center of the bow. So I'm going to see if I can get it out pretty easily, or it's going to be a pain. Okay. Now, oh yeah, the glue's a little still warm. Perfect. Now, in order to kind of clean that and neaten that up a little bit, I'm going to come right out of the center of the bow, or I'll just keep it over here off to the side. And I think I'll just keep it over here off the side. And we'll use some of that filler flower at the bow. So let me curl this around. All right, let's tuck this in right under here and kind of come out this way. Yeah. So pretty. So pretty. Oh, I love that. Ooh, 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 ooh. That looks good. That looks good. Okay, bow's in. Now let's start adding some of those fillers in around the bow. And for us, that is going to be the pink filler flower and the fishtail. That's what we're putting in next. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, we're going to put this in right now. So I want you to take and push these up till you get nice little clusters of pinks. We're going to cut them long to get out from around the bow, but I want these to be their own little clusters and not too spread out. Fantastic. Now cut these all real long, like as long as they'll go, and we'll make these into clusters like we did the fishtail. And we're going to work this all around the bow, okay? So what you want to do is take one that has a flower and one that has the berry and go one tall, one short, cut them to match. And every one will be different. Swirl that in the glue. We're going in tight to the bow. So let's take our first one and kind of go behind everybody back here. Watch your twigs. You don't get burned. And this is kind of a good spot because everything's really tight from the bow and stuff. So it's not going in. There we go. I'm going to bring that back now. And that'll just come out right here. I'll bend it pretty good and it'll pop out between these two. Perfect. Okay, now let's put some tight over here. So these are little surprises that are going to pop out between the layers of the ribbon. Now, mind your direction. If it's over here, it needs to go that way. If it's over here, it needs to go this way. We're pretty much doing that. The only thing I'm doing is bringing it a little bit back into the bow. Push that in. Yeah. And bend it. Ooh, I love it. Let's put one down below also. Maybe kind of coming out of the center. And we've got this whole entire bush to use down here. We don't have to have it other places in our design. If we want it down here, we can have it. Okay, spread apart your bow and let's go right in underneath. Yeah, right there. Perfect. And one more on the right side. So a berry one, a flower one. Stagger them. Trim them to the same length. Hold it like a pencil, twirl it in that glue pot, come in from the right. Oh yeah, look at that. Ooh, that looks wispy in there. I'm gonna try just a touch of fishtail in there too, not a bunch, just a little bit. I'm gonna make this short. We gotta keep that stem a little long though, because we gotta get behind the ribbon. Let's see if we can get 2 pieces of fishtail like opposite these others we already put in. Go in between a couple of layers. Make sure you're going into the grapevine, not through the back, okay? Try not to. Looks pretty good right there. That one might have gone through the back, so I'll have to, when we get towards the end, I will flip it around and double check. Now this one, I'm going to kind of have it just go straight up instead of curve it because it's kind of coming out of the top of the bow. So we're using our pink filler bush down here. We have a little bit left. And I'm using 2 pieces of fishtail just to add layering into the bow. Oh, pretty. Just pop those up. And that gives that all that dimension and tucks it in there. And I like it at that opposite angle where she's kind of crashing in and that pops it in. Okay, right now we're getting ready to put our lavender filler next. You got just a little bit left of these. So before we even get to the lavender filler, let's take a look and see where we might have a couple of holes. I see one right there between those 2. So I'm going to make my own little cluster with 1 fishtail and 2 of the flowers from the floral bush. And I'm making a cluster of 3 and trimming it off. Fill that in right now before we put the lavender in. That way we don't have any big surprises. I'll go right here. Yeah, there we go. And then those roses are pretty there. How about let's put a little bit of filler right there. And then that just gives it a touch of filler in a couple of different locations. Here, I'm going to take this one, make a little cluster. We're going to come right here. We kind of did our bow detail work before the end this time, okay? A lot of times we do that at the end, but today we did it before that. Right in there. And then here's this little piece. Let's just take and have that tuck in there all by itself. Okay, y'all, we got all the pink filler in. I feel good about our holes. We've got them covered. We've got greenery everywhere. We got twigs in the background. I'm loving all that. Kind of bridge our gap from our teal to our pink. It pulls in this little touch of lavender that's on those. It's very subtle, and because it's super wispy, it looks really good at anything wildflower. So what you want to do is just tear apart this bush. It tears apart really into these pre-made clusters that are great, easy peasy to work with. And you want to take all of these and just trim them to where they're all the same length. I'm just going to give them about 2 inches past the part where they're clustered together. It's important you don't cut them too short or you'll lose the pre-made clusters. So we're going to do that to the whole bush. When you do that, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 pieces. So we're going to start off over here. We're going to probably put 4 over here, 3 over there, and that leaves us 2 around the bow. Something like that. So let's kind of get started on the right side. Now, just take and shape them up before you put them in. It's important we don't just go willy-nilly with them, or your wildflowers are going to lose their pretty shape. So I'm going to start with my first piece, kind of going behind our pink roses, tucking in right there. Beautiful, okay? I'm going to come down a little. We're going to zigzag to the outside. So when we go to the outside, reverse it to where the shorter piece goes to the outside, right? And the longer piece kind of goes up. That way we don't get a piece shooting way out. And remember, I'm still putting these in the midline. I'm not going out into the outside of the grapevine. Okay? Perfect. Zigzag back in right here. This is piece number 3 over here. And I'm allocating 4 for this side, so we're doing good. This is going to go to the inside, so now put the little piece on the inside. So that way it can kind of come and break the plane of the butterfly. And I'm tucking these behind. They're not going in front. They're going behind the behind the fishtail. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is going to go back to the outside. Do that same situation. Now, this time, I just yanked that off. I'll have to glue that back on in just a second. This time, this one's going to go to the foreground. A little bit here, a little bit tighter. So I laid it on top of the greenery because I wanted it right behind that hydrangea. Now let's switch to this side. Remember, we're doing that C shape with everything we do. So this first face is going to go to the outside right here. Kind of came down a little bit with it because I want to do another piece kind of overlapping kind of the butterfly at the top there. So the inside part of the zigzag here up higher. And now I don't need as much Spanish moss. I'm going into places there's already other florals. It's tighter when you're pushing it in. See how that scoops around? So I went inside, outside. Let's come back to the inside. This piece, and this one kind of worked down there by the bow a little. Come down. Right there. And now let's come right outside right here. I love having this lavender part. Really ties that cottagey look together. Okay, now let's take a look at it. We've got one more, and I'm just going to go walk back from it, squint my eyes, and see where I don't see lavender. I'm just looking for lavender, and I think we just need a piece right here, and we can have it kind of scoop up. And I think we're good with that. I would work right beside these guys. Oh my gosh, so pretty. I love this, y'all. Yo, that ain't going in there. Just bending my stem. I'm going to trim my stem just a little bit. Let's try again. I'm going to have to look. There we go, I think. The bow's in there too, and it's like fighting in. There we go. It felt good going in. You might as well get it right now, because otherwise you're going to have to fix it later if you don't. Looks so good. Looks so good, y'all. Oh, we are basically done before we even do this part, but now we're going to add the twigs to the foreground. All our other twigs are kind of chilling in the back, but these twigs are going to be loud and proud and in front. So we're going to use the same technique we did, but we're going to try to put these a little bit more forward in between where we put twigs before. So basically you get that zigzag look, but these are going to kind of come, they're still going to shape the same way, but they'll be layered in front, so there'll be greenery behind them. So my first piece, and I prepared the twigs the exact same way we did before. So I'm going to go between these two, just right in here. We're going to tuck that in. There's a wire in there so you can take and straighten that up a little bit and just have that kind of come in between, just a little bit forward. Okay. Now we're going to go in between these two on the inside. It's kind of like an opposite zigzag of what we did before. Okay, I got my greenery on, my glue on it. And this one's going to go in front. So I move some stuff out of the way, but make sure you don't put it behind. Perfect. Now I'm achieving more of that wispiness. Okay, that's what we want in the wildflower designs. All right, now between these two, okay, go into the outside, but not like this. Keep these cupped in, okay? Everybody comes in to stay with that cohesive look. Just going down here in the foreground. Oops. I got glue on that flower and it got me. Just on that little wildflower. How dare you, wildflower? It wasn't that bad, it just scared me. Okay, now let's come down and put one between these two kind of coming forward. And if twigs aren't your thing, don't do the twigs. No worries. This is just part of this look and how your work's going to always be standing out and being different. Not like everybody else's. That's our really main focus when we get down to it. Standing out from the crowd, being different. That's going to go there. And between these two, we'll get that glue string off there. Same song, different verse. Coming in the foreground here, there's this twig here. So we're going to go between that and the next one. So I can just push that in right there. Perfect. All right, now let's work to the outside here. Still staying in the foreground. Whoops, watch your glue pot. Let's just set that whole puppy in there. Nice. All right, now let's go to the inside. A little bit tighter to the bow. That's just so cool to me, kind of coming over the bow. All right, we need some on the outside here too. We've got this one here. Let's work between them more forward. Push that in. All right, now I'm fighting some glue strings here because I dipped it in the glue pot. Bend that down just a little bit. Okay, now that's in the background. All this is going there. We're doing pretty good. I think we're pretty good. I'm going to do one more behind the bow down here. I'm not going to put much more over the bow. Like, I'm not just going to use these to use them up. But I'm going to come behind the bow down here at the bottom, kind of in behind. There you go. Let that kind of work up between those. All right, this is scooping around. I have like a couple more. Let me step back and take a look. Oh, you guys, it's so beautiful. Just love that look. It's just so pretty. Let's go one more over here, maybe a little bit to the background. I'm even checking the background now, looking for holes, because when you see this from the street, you'll be able to see the perimeter of the greenery and the twigs, and I'm going to make sure it looks pretty even. I'll go a little bit to the outside there, and then I'm going to put one more here, kind of behind. Sorry to get so quiet. I'm this excited. You can always tuck these back in too. They don't all have to be open. Woo! It's stunning. It's like rock star status, guys. Oh, blue merinos. We're crushing it. I'll go one more under the bow. Right from the middle. You can't hide from me there, yeah. Okay, we did it. It looked so great. I hope you're excited about trying a showstopper like this one. It's big and beautiful, and it's really a long time since we've worked on a big 24-inch wreath, and it's stunning. It's gorgeous, and of course, I'm gonna find the perfect spot, the perfect home to sell that to for somebody who wants a really big and beautiful wildflower design. I love it. All right, Blue Merinos, you try it. Report back. Tell me if you enjoyed this design. Oh my gosh, I love being inspired by nature, but this time we're taking our inspiration from the series Bridgerton. It's romance, it's Elizabethan, and guess what? It is spicy. So we're going to make a wreath today inspired by that. We're working with some of our subscription boxes that have that same vibe as Bridgerton. So we're going to have some fun today. Yep, fun with flowers, and yep, we're going to make it spicy. So on this design, we're going to start off with a smaller wreath base. Over the last few months, we've been exploring different wreath bases in design school and really made an effort to utilize smaller and larger. And one of the things we found is you kind of get a different look when you work with a small base. So today, instead of starting with a big base, we're going to work with a small one. But don't worry, it's going to be incredibly dramatic, and I think you're going to love that. So on our base here, we're going to start off with some greenery. And the greenery we want to use came in the greenery box subscription. This one has a nice variegation where it has that white and cream in there with all these great leaves. These are such a no-brainer because they're 3 greeneries mixed in one, and we love that. And we're going to use several of those, and we will have a supply list for this project. The supplies came from the subscription box, so some of them are exclusive to it and they won't be available, but some might be on the website that you may want to be able to find a substitution if you want to make this, but you'll at least know exactly what we used. Now, when we want to make something dramatic, we think of a dramatic greenery with a nice flow, and this eucalyptus bush does it. It's a beautiful muted, like light green, dark green combo, which works great with the pink colors we're going with. So we're going to take this and start to create our base layer, basically with the drama. I'm going to work on the left-hand side, and we're going to start by putting some of this in hanging. Now, it hangs way, way down. I don't need it that far, but we're going to start to make some cuts here to trim that out. Let's do it. Let's cut down this bush to start off. So I just cut all of them off the stem as long as they'll go. And now I'm going to start to shape this out. And I'm going to take one of the longer pieces here, and we'll have that be our longest piece. I'm going to move her up on the wreath base for a second for you, so you can kind of see how far that's going down. I'm going to kind of go up into that mid-range, and we'll get some good amount of glue on there. And we're going to go right up in here. Now, you're going to kind of create a waterfall or a cascade here. This type of wreath style has been kind of viral and trending, with a very dramatic line coming down far on the left. So I assure you, not only are we going to be cool for Bridgerton, but we're going to be cool for this year too. All right, here comes my next piece. I know this is my longest piece, so I want to kind of make sure I'm scattering them a bit. So I'm going to cut this off and leave it a little bit shorter. So you're going to take and have one piece that's got a small droop, and then one piece here, I dropped it, one piece that has a longer droop. All right, so I'm going to bring that in right beside here. So I'm starting to create my cluster. Just gently go in the glue skillet. Let's come off to the side, and we'll put that one in. Okay, so there's my first 2 pieces. Now this is the one that was super long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this just into like 3/4 and 1/4, and we'll put this one along the outside. You can see how we're making a cluster, and you want to stagger it. Design school students, KDS Blue Merinos, know that I'm not a fan of what we call matchy-matchy, and that means where the lines are matching. And that could be in symmetry. Even if I'm doing like a symmetrical placement on a piece, I don't like for it to be identical. I think it's just more natural looking. It's more the style I like to teach. Okay? Oh, look at those. It's so pretty. Now, we got a good cluster going. This one has a nice little strong base. So the ones that have a little bit stronger bases, I'm going to hold for a little bit. We're going to put these to the side, and we're going to grab our second bush, and we're going to continue to create the flow kind of working up the back here. Now, if you think about a horse's mane, when they have a long mane coming down, it kind of works up the back of their head, and it's long here, but it gets shorter. That's what we're going to do now. So grab your second bush, and we're going to work our way up. Take these, and I'm going to trim them all off again. So it just takes a little bit of time to get this placement right. And in design school, we call this greening the base. So we're setting what we call the perimeter, and we're starting to create a base. All right, here's another super long piece, and we're going to trim that into a couple of sections. And the reason I'm doing these have a little bit of a stronger wire, and it's going to allow us to make that leap as we transition the other direction in a little bit. So we want to use the wimpy wires here on the back. You see how pretty this is? This is so pretty. Now, when we put our other greenery in a little bit, we're going to be able to kind of create a little bit of background support on here to help this stay forward. So sometimes our mechanics that we're working with and how we're designing, it has some structural elements to it, and it's not just all pretty, which I know is not exciting, but I'm teaching my students not only how to make beautiful things for themselves, but some of them want to learn how to sell their work and how to really work at a higher level so they can demand a higher price point for their work. They're not into making volume. They literally just want to make beautiful things, sell them, make some extra money for their family, and enjoy their hobby by selling too. And then when they're ready to scale, we've got them. We're ready to support them on that journey too, to help them make great quality floral designs that can sell at a little higher price point. All right, I'm trimming a next one down here. And now we're ready to start this little transition area. So anybody who's floppy, I'm using on the very ends of our design. So we're going to kind of come over to the other side now. So this is my left-hand side. We're looking good, nice and full and lush, and some of it's going out of the camera, but you see how pretty? Beautiful. Now we're going to come work on the right-hand side. So this for sure has to be the longest. Now on this side, we want it to be shorter. So let's get a starting point there. Now this is all freestyle today. I kind of have an idea of what I wanted. I'm being inspired by our subscription boxes, and they're perfect for those of you who just want to open the box and be like, everything I've got in this box goes together. I don't have to worry about if it's going to match something else. Please curated it. I know it's going to be a winner. I promise you. It really, I try to make them one theme in the box, or if they have two themes, there's enough of each theme to make more than one project. So you're not going to feel like, what do I do with this? It's not a surprise box like that, where it is a box that's a curated collection. The nice thing, though, when you do get the subscription boxes, the cool thing is, you are saving automatically 20% on the retail price when you are a subscriber. So that is a benefit. All right, I'm going to come up to the top and start to create my part that's going to droop at the top. And do what we call a transition. We're going to transition direction so we can create a flow in our design. Because it's really important to have a flow. Depending when you see this video, you definitely are going to have to come join us in design school, because we are always gearing up and very excited about our next seasonal workshop. And workshops are free for design school students. They do not pay an additional fee. And some workshops are exclusive only to design school. So it's an advantage to being a student. And of course, being a subscriber helps you learn how to work with these florals and be very confident in your placement, your direction, and your lines you're creating. It is all a process when it comes together. I think you're going to love it. Now, do you see my flow? This is gorgeous. Now listen, if you want to make something just elegant and lush with floral, we could just finish this out, and this could be a beautiful just greenery. Of course, we're not stopping there, because we are going Bridgerton style. We're going next level. We're going up. We're going out. This is going to be fun, because I truly am loving the new season of Bridgerton. If you've never watched it, you might enjoy it too. It's got a lot of romance. It's a bit spicy, but that's fun too. And it's really interesting. I love how they use the music in Bridgerton, and how they use popular music in a classical form. It is awesome. I love that part. Okay, we're doing really good. And I'm using the parts with a little bit of the higher, heavier wire at that transition. I love that. Isn't this gorgeous? We've done an excellent job in here creating our greenery and getting it nice and full. We don't have to have it completely full. I'm going to leave a couple of pieces. Now, if you can see the glue, anytime I can see glue or I've got some spacing in there, I need to fill in. That's where I'm putting my moss. I'm big on using the moss for that. Now, you ready? We're going to start adding some of the other greenery to mix up the flow a little bit. But this is looking great. Beautiful, beautiful. Matter of fact, you can put a bow up there, and this is a viral trending design. Bonus, 2 for 1 in here. Okay, it's time to add this greenery. Now, this has a more traditional green in the cream, but I love the berry in there. It's a very delicate touch. And with this spray, it comes really pretty like this. This would be a great spray if you're going to do a Christmas tree that's going to be like that type of vibe, that Elizabethan. Man, this would be perfect because it's got the details and the pine and all this together. I love pine mixed with regular greenery. If you've never tried that in a wreath, do it. It's excellent. And we're talking nice pine. Don't be using, some cheap. This is nice, long needle, beautiful. Like you just went and got it off your pine tree, but you didn't. All right, we're going to shake hands with each piece before we put it in, and we're start to get our placement. So that means I'm going to shape it out. All of these are wired to the tip, so I always want to use all of that to my advantage. Now I'm going to come right in here to where we were changing direction, and we're going to start to add some of these. Now, I talked earlier about how we are going to use these to create, we're going to use them actually for some stabilization of this greenery so it doesn't roll on the back. So the reason we do that, a lot of times we do that with florals, is so we can kind of stabilize our design and it gives a really polished, finished look. And that's what we're going to do right here. So I'm going to put my first one in, I'm going to come down. So we're going to kind of work the perimeter. And I'm coming out a little bit more, but I'm staying in the background, right behind the beautiful eucalyptus to start off with. And I got to shake hands with all these. These are so nicely wired. I love that. So if you have been watching the Bridgerton series, if you have seen some of it, tell me if you liked it. Or if it's just too racy, tell me. Oh, Calais. Can't believe you like that. Oh, y'all. I do. I'm all into Dear Gentle Readers. Woo! It's fun in the thinking of all the things back in the day that would have ruined your reputation or your family and all of that stuff. It's really fun. I'm gonna just tear down this next stem, so you can just gently tear these off and just get started. We're gonna shake this right up. Now, I've never read the books, but I'm kind of thinking I might just need to get the books, at least on tape, because then I could listen to them when I'm creating. I say on tape, audiobooks. Lord, I'm dating myself. Do you find yourself doing that now? I mean, you might be very young, but I say things now that I'm like, cringe, to using a word kids used to work. I don't even know what kids use words now. I don't even know. I have a 14-year-old, and all she does is just cringe at her mama. What are you doing now, Mom? Matter of fact, we filmed a promo for this video 3 times because she was like, Mom, I have to help you. Like, you need some help on your TikToks. God, you talk about cringe. What are you going to make me do now, child? But see how pretty these are mixing together, and we're getting a nice fullness in there. And I love that these have the lighter colors, but they also have the white. I think that's pulling in a lot of, it's helping us create a little bit more depth. And I'm going to bring this one down a little on the outside. And we're just creating a beautiful shape. Now, when we get ready to do the floral in a minute, you can decide how you want to do your own floral. There's all kind of different techniques for that. But today we're going to use a little bit of what we call a cluster method, where we're going to kind of keep like florals together. So that method works more like a garden does. So when a garden's growing, a plant grows from one area, okay? So that's what we're going to do when we get ready to do our florals in here too. They're going to kind of originate from one area for some respect for the flowers. But for the berries, we're going to let the berries be that, almost like the weed in the garden that's like, yeah, I'm beautiful, I'm taking over. Kind of like Penelope in the latest season. Kind of. All right, let me grab one more piece of greenery. I'm going to use one more in here, but I want you to see how we're doing. We're really filling. See how beautiful? I mean, we are lushing it up. I told you this is going to be pretty. I mean, I'm jaded. I think everything I make's pretty. But this is going to be my style. And pretty. Y'all, you know how I love the garden. So anytime we make anything that feels like a garden, I'm happy. I'm happy. Okay, I'm going to take and just flip these out. See right there? And I'm shaping it all out. This one's going to go more to the inside and stay in the center of this base. Now, one of the reasons we really like using that smaller base is because of the type of greenery I'm using. It's going to help hold its shape really, really well on the drapey greenery, because it's got the grapevine behind it, and now I've got the greenery behind it. Oh yeah. All right, come here, buddy. So this one's coming out a little bit farther than I want, and if that happens, just come in and we can take that part of the stem off, and we can leave this a little bit. I can thin those out, and we can bring that back in a little bit to another part in the wreath. Okay, flower time. So we're going to do our main flowers first. And for us, that's going to be the roses. Now, these roses are beautiful. I love the rose heads. They do have a bit of a kind of like olivey greenery that is not going to go with our color palette. So never fear, just take these off. I'm going to take the leaves off just like a florist would do. A lot of times the florist is going to take off the leaf of a rose, especially for different reasons than we are. But a lot of times leaves cause confusion to the eye and make it look your final project look messy. So if you feel like there's just too much going on, you might just have to take the leaves off your bush. Okay, now we're going to trim these all down a little bit, and the next thing I'll do is I'll just trim off those little pieces where the leaves were, so nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know when we cut off these little pieces that we took the leaves off, okay? And then these just look like little thorns on the leaves. You can trim these off of here, like here, and you are good to go. Now, I talked earlier about, Bridgerton being spicy, so our wreath is going to be spicy, and how I want this design to the florals are going to come from one direction, or not necessarily one direction, but from one area in the design. So we created this gorgeous base already with our greenery, and now it's time for our roses, which are our primary pop of color. So I don't want the stems to be too long, but I do want about 6-inch stems on these, because I want to be able to work them coming in and out of our design. Now remember, all of this came in our BBBB subscription box. That was in the springtime, where we had a lot of the springtime colors. But I hadn't worked with it yet, and I was so inspired by the Bridgerton and the beautiful flowers and the lush fabrics and jewels and all that stuff that I just knew we got to get in here and play with this. So I'm going to start with these first. And when I say they come out in one area, for us, we're not using a bow on this design. So they're going to kind of come out of where our bow would be. So we're going to take our first one and put it in and start to build up a little cluster here. I gave that a little swirl in my glue pot, and I'm going to bring my first piece in. Tip time! So when I'm using Spanish moss, a lot of people will say, Spanish moss is so messy, it's so, it crumbles, but you just use a little bit at a time the way we use it. I just make it into a little bitty ball like this, and now it goes in to cover my glue, my mechanics, and go into that section of the wreath to kind of make a little glue sandwich in there to hold it in place. So don't think it's messy. and all that, because you just need a little bit of Spanish moss. All right, our first rose is in, and I'm going to work from that point kind of backwards, and we'll have a good assortment of roses working back in here. Some we might have come out a little more, some we might keep a little tighter to the base, but I'm going for a total romantic vibe here as I put them all in. Okay, so yeah, feel the romance. I'm going to bring this one kind of behind a little bit of that greenery we put in. All right, so I've really taken my time here and made sure that each of these is at a little bit of different height or depth per se as they go in. Here comes this piece, and so I'm making sure I'm giving it some motion by giving it a curve. Now, if you've never used any of those techniques when designing, you've got to play with that. The joys of creating with artificial flowers are that you have the ability to do that and utilize these great wires in there. Okay, that's great for my roses at the top. Now I want to bring in roses to the bottom. And if you want to kind of, they call this reflexing the petals when you bring the petals backwards on real roses, but we can still do that a little bit on our artificial. We can open them up and reflex them per se. So I'm going to do that on a few of these too as we bring them in. And they have a little bit more of like a lavender kind of throat inside here. I love that. So now I'm going to come on the other side of our transition. And you can learn all about transition and positioning in design school. And I want to really have that beautiful cascade working for me. Now on here I have a little bit of that rose leaf left that I wanted to cut off. So I'm taking those off because I want to stick with this muted color background that we've got going instead of this one had a little bit of a olive green, and I don't really want the olive green here. Now, there's not going to be a lot of roses kind of trailing down. Yes, we will. So I'm just going to have one right here. That's trailing down. Beautiful. And then I'm going to work on either side of that. Get this nice spacing in there. And don't worry, we have a little bit of greenery saved where we're going to be able to accentuate the roses with some greenery around it too. We saved a couple of pieces. I'm going to put that piece in there. I love it. And then let's put our last rose right here at the center. So you get a nice cluster right up. You see what pretty color combo this is? This is pretty. The romance. Let me show you up close. You can see how pretty that is going in there. Look at that. And look at this dimension. Oh my gosh. See the movement? So pretty. Hey, if you're not feeling romantic yet, come on. Get with it. We're having fun with flowers and feel the romance. I do. All right. Left from our subscription boxes are berries. And these are going to add the wispiness and the drama, and we have some tulips too that really will add that drama right to the florals in here. So with these guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this bush down to where each cluster is just cut into separate pieces. So when you pull them off like this, now you'll have just one cut cuts all three at once. And that's fine because we don't need these really long. So I'm just going to trim them off here. Now, sometimes when I want to have a lot of length, I'll cut them longer. But in this case, we already have the length being created by the cascade of the eucalyptus, so we don't need more. All right, bring you down just a little bit. Oh my gosh, so pretty. All right, let's start with our longest pieces first, and we'll work from them backward. So come on in, and these have this beautiful corally pink that goes great with our roses, and that's another reason you want to get the subscription boxes, because it takes all the thought out of it for you. You know what comes in there is going to be the perfect combination. All right, and I'm going to use this one just kind of coming down on the opposite side, and these bring a little bit of the brighter green in their leaves that's also on the greenery stems we put in. And I'm going to reinforce our shape just from here down. So we always are talking about lines and direction in design school, and that's really, really important here too. Oh my gosh, look at this. So if you're watching and you've been watching Bridgerton, tell me who your favorite character is. Of course, I don't want to have any spoilers, depending what season you're on. But tell me in the comments who your favorite character is. I think it's a lot of fun. Okay, there's that. Now let's work above. Let's work above. How about one way to the outside up here, going up high? That's going to be so pretty. This stuff gets me so excited, and I love to work just, you know, I'm hoping that people can just get inspired by beautiful florals. There was a time when people just loved that in their home, and I know artificial florals are different than fresh florals, but they certainly can bring that beauty into your home as well, into your space, no matter the season or the weather. And learning how to work with them is so fun. It's quite a bit different than making other types of wreaths. Working with floral wreaths is, I don't know, it's like gardening to me, except I don't have to wait for the blooms. I don't have to tend to it quite as much to get the outcome. We just get the gorgeous outcome right here. All right, I'm going to put one more in the middle. I think this will be pretty right here. Just kind of popping out there, and I'm going to kind of bend it the other way. So pretty. And then let's have one kind of come through the middle. I like to break up the florals a little bit with some dimension here, working above them. Yes, and you go up, buddy. That's just so lush and beautiful. And the fact we're using a very trending viral greenery style, I think, is a lot of fun when we create this whole finished look. That you can create that as a base, but layer right on top of it. All right, and that one's going to come in. So I'm done with my twig. That looks stunning in there already. Now, I want to take my tulips, and these are what you call real touch tulips. I love to use tulips to create some depth. So I'm going to undo this bundle, and then they're all going to be individual. And we'll start to put them in. And these guys are going to grow right out of the center here. And they're not going to be all around like the berries. They're going to be more in the center. So I'm going to take and start to put them in. I love tulips. They can really move around for you, and they're just a pretty little flower. I would so grow them if they would grow good here. I don't know if we just need more cold or what. I just buy them. I buy them blooming and enjoy them. First one, I'm going to put one more right here, coming out of the center. Get in here, yeah, get in there. Look how pretty that is. Aren't you loving this? I'm just using them in twos, and I'm kind of staggering them a little bit. I think they add a really nice dimension, and this is just so lush and pretty. So I would encourage you to try out our subscription boxes. They will be changing for each season. So you might see this video who knows when, because of I'm inspiring you with the series Bridgerton. But every month the boxes change, and they are like to get you ahead for the next season, and that is what is a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to put these last three kind of working from the bottom out. So I'm going to make a little cluster with them. And then we'll put those in the bottom. So once we come off the spring boxes, we go into summer colors, and then we work into fall, and of course, then at Christmas time and winter. It is truly so much fun to make these boxes each season and fill them with things that are that go together, and they just take that mystery out of designing your own project. And a lot of times you can get several projects. And in here, we also use some of the greenery subscription, And the greenery is the same thing. The greenery will coordinate with the box each month, but I have a lot of people who get one or the other box. But then the people who get both are really super satisfied because they know all of that's going to work together every month. All right, we are just about done. My last step is I like to soften the lines a little bit of the harshness of the florals. So I'm going to take some of the greenery we already have in there, and we're just going to kind of reinforce the shape, work the perimeter, and then break the plane a little bit of some of the other florals. So I'm going to start right here. I know I want to work this out a little bit more here. And we'll fill this one in. There's a lot in this little transition area. So you can see how pretty that is, and I'll kind of help that. So I'm going to come back to the top of this piece too. I'm going to shape it up just like we did the others. And this one I'm going to layer up there between those two twigs we put in. So you can kind of see how I take the last couple of pieces of greenery and I'll fill in any holes. I'll look at my finished design and see where else do I need to add some depth. And now I'm going to take the little bit of the eucalyptus that we have left, and we're going to use that kind of a little bit more to the foreground. So I'm going to kind of let it come forward. Now make sure you're not going backward in the wreath. Like, don't shove it through the grapevine backward. Do not shove anything into your grapevine, please. We're going up and in, and these have that nice strong stem, so they're perfect to use in this particular application, so they can sit up really, really good. Excellent. Here's our last piece that I'll use up here at the top. What I'm doing is with this filler, I'm just holding this so I don't dribble and any part in my design. So if you have been wondering how to get inspired by something to create your next project, sometimes it might be the unexpected. It could be a Netflix series you really are watching. So I can't wait for you to create something just like this. Grab our subscription boxes. They're the easiest way to have supplies that go together each and every month. And there is no term commitment. You can subscribe and you can cancel any time. This is an example of using a DVD box and a greenery box in one project to make an extravagant, beautiful wreath. All right, Bloomerinos, I will see you next time, and you have fun with flowers. Bye, everybody.